Hello, everyone, and thank you for being with us today on day 2 of Capital Region Small Business Week 2021. We are so excited to be here with all of you in a virtual setting. And as I said yesterday, if you were with us yesterday, we sure did miss you last year during 2020. Although it was a tough year, we realized that you all made it through, you persevered, and you're still finding ways to pivot and grow. And we're here to share resources with you on how you can do that. You're going to meet awesome speakers today and get a lot of really great information on how to just grow as a business owner and to thrive in where it is that you'd like to be. My name is Sophia Canan, and I am the Program Director for the Women's Business Center at California Capital. And California Capital is a nonprofit. We have been around for almost 40 years, and we serve small businesses in several capacities. We serve small business through our Access to Capital arm, which you'll hear more about today on how we can assist you with small amounts of capital, as well as other opportunities that you might find in terms of financing. We also have government contracting assistance, which you'll hear more about today from our Procurement Technical Assistance Center on how you can work through government contracting areas, whether that be through the federal, state, or local level, and work with experts in their field to help you navigate through the government contracting world as well. And then, as I mentioned, I lead the Women's Business Center, which it is an honor and a privilege to do. And through the Women's Business Center, we offer one-on-one counseling and training to anyone and everyone looking to start a business, grow their business, expand their business, and just become a better business owner. And we offer workshops Monday through Friday nowadays when we are working remotely. We are very thankful that we have supporters from both the SBA, which you'll hear from in just a moment. SBA we are partially funded by, as well as through the state. So you're going to hear from a couple of our supporters of the center, as well as our sponsor for the week, which is SMUD. And so thank you so much to SMUD for being here. And they will be here, Rosanna will be here to say a few words in just a moment. But before we get there, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Michelle Radman. Michelle Radman is the Acting Deputy Director and Governor-appointed Northern Regional Advisor for the Office of the Small Business Advocate, otherwise known as Cal-OSBA. And so I will hand the virtual mic over to our first speaker, Ms. Michelle Radman.
Thank you, Sophia, for the introduction, and to California Capital for inviting me here on day 2 to speak with you all this afternoon. As Sophia shared, I will reiterate, our Office of the Small Business Advocate, which is usually referred to as Cal-OSBA, is an independent office that sits within the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development. With over 4 million small businesses in California, we are the principal advocate on your behalf and represent the views and interests across state government, ensure that information, content, and direct support are available so that they can better navigate state resources, programs, and regulations, and support you all to become more resilient here in California. In alignment with Governor Newsom's focus on building a California for all, we are committed to creating an inclusive, entrepreneurial, and small business ecosystem to eliminate opportunity gaps that do exist across zip code, race, and gender. Our office prioritizes access to networks and resources, some of which Sophia alluded to, capital markets, including e-commerce, international trade, and procurement, also known as government contracting, and resiliency. And so I know my time is limited today, but I want to ensure that you all know what you can access through our office and GoBiz broadly. So our office supports 80+ small business technical assistance centers throughout California, like California CAP Women's Business Center, who provide one-on-one consulting services or no to low cost trainings to small business owners like you all to grow here in California. And so if you're looking to tap into new markets, these centers can be here to assist you to not only expand, but get that capital that you need to be able to do so. Our office has also a couple of initiatives that you all can tap into to help grow your business. As I had mentioned, one of those markets would be e-commerce or international trade. And so e-commerce being a large component of that, is an initiative that came out of a campaign from the summer called Shop Safe, Shop Local. And we've worked with corporate partners and partners across state agencies to bring you either free or discounted tools and resources that address our digital divide, but you'll be able to either start or expand an e-commerce platform. And of course, that can be domestic or open up your quote unquote doors to the global market. And another initiative that we have in our office is called Source Diverse, Source Local. And this is to help existing small businesses get corporate contracts. And so through this, we have basics of procurement training, as well as down the line, which I'll share with you how you can get updates on this, will be advanced procurement training. On the capital side of things, there are various opportunities to access capital. Of course, you can get one-on-one assistance through the centers, but some of the relief funds that are available or funds to just expand your business come through iBank, which is housed at GoBiz. They're the infrastructure and economic bank. And they have loan guarantee programs to assist small businesses who have traditionally faced barriers in accessing capital through banks or traditional federal aid. So if you're an existing business who may not been able to draw down on PPP or EIDL, these loan guarantee programs are in place for you. So again, this is to either expand your business or to assist your business right now during the pandemic. And on that, we're also the lead state agency for long-term economic recovery as part of the state's recovery support function. So we understand that it's very critical that small businesses get prepared for the next disaster. Unfortunately, that is the world we live in, right? And so to be a resilient business is a successful business. And so Outsmart Disaster hosts a unique online tool that businesses can use to assess their resiliency. So you can take a resilient business challenge, which includes a detailed 5-step course that goes over topics such as identifying impacts of disruption and strengthening your facilities. The challenge will walk you through each step and provide you with key information along the way. We also work with Cal OES and other state and federal partners to make sure you have the latest information about programs, about resources that you will need in the event of a disaster to respond and recover. So for example, we created a disaster relief resource guide for COVID-19 and wildfires, which you can find at our website, which I'll drop all of the links into the chat for you. So with that, it was very brief, but I encourage you to visit our website and contact us. And you can follow us on social media where we put out the latest information. I'll say it quickly, but again, I'll put the links in the chat. Our website is business.ca.gov/Cal OSBA. Social media is at California OSBA. And you can sign up for our newsletter where we do push out a lot of critical information regarding small business updates, both from the state side as well as the federal side. So I appreciate you all being here this afternoon. Your time is very valuable, and I want to thank Sophia and CalCap again for inviting me here to speak with you all again today.
Thank you very, very much, Michelle, for being with us. So great to have you. Next up, I'd like to introduce Heather Lucy. Heather Lucy is the District Director for the U.S. Small Business Administration Sacramento office. Heather?
Hello, Sophia. Thank you so much. It's truly my honor and pleasure to be here with you today. As Sophia stated, we really missed everyone last year with respect to not having a small business week due to the pandemic. So it's wonderful to get back together, even though it's virtually. And I know yesterday's program was terrific. I'm really looking forward to this afternoon's program as well. And just a little bit about SBA. SBA is a federal agency. Our administrator actually holds a cabinet level position. What is very unique here in California is that, as Michelle had stated with Cal OSBA, the small business advocate for the state of California formerly was Isabel Guzman, and she is now our SBA administrator. So we are thrilled that she has joined us, and looking forward to her ideas and thoughts moving forward I know she's been extremely busy with all of the COVID responsibilities that have been implemented, but I know that California really has a special place in her heart. So being her home state, we are very, very fortunate to have her here. With respect to the office here in Sacramento, we are one of 68 district offices around the country. We have a small but mighty team, and we rely very heavily on our resource partners. So our resource partners are folks like the Women's Business Center at California Capitol, the SCORE volunteers and mentors, our small business development centers, as well as our Veterans Business Outreach Centers. SBA was kind of thrust into, I'm hesitant to say limelight, but thrust into the forefront of the pandemic last year because a lot of folks didn't know about the U.S. Small Business Administration or what we did. We've been kind of drinking out of a fire hose ever since, but we have been able to implement plans and programs to assist businesses in getting through these challenging times. A lot of businesses have been able to triumph over the adversity that they've faced over the last 15 months. And it's really absolutely heartwarming to see that. We're thrilled to be here. We are your small business advocate. And if you need assistance, please don't hesitate to reach out to us or our small business development centers, women's business centers, veterans business outreach centers, or women's or SCORE partners. Thank you so much. And I'll give it back to you, Sophia.
Thank you so much, Heather. Thank you for being with us. We really, really appreciate it. And you will hear more from Heather later on during our financing panel. Okay, I'd like to introduce you to Ms. Rosanna Herber. She is the director for the SMUD Board of Directors. And SMUD, again, thank you very, very much to our sponsor for the week. And so I'd like to hand the virtual mic over to Rosanna Herber.
Thank you, Sophia. I really appreciate being here. And what an honor to be with these women who are blazing the trail for all these young entrepreneurs to be successful. And, running a small business is never easy, even in the best of times. And no one needs to remind you that the 15 months that we've lived through have hardly been normal, and certainly not the best of our times. But many of you found a way to survive the worst pandemic in history, and you should be proud of that. And also, you have earned SMUD's deep admiration and appreciation for your hard work. SMUD has long recognized the irreplaceable value that small businesses bring to our customers and also the larger community. That's why SMUD's support of small business has never wavered during the pandemic, and it won't waver as the Sacramento region finally comes back to normal or something close to normal. Let's call this year's Capital Region Small Business Week a fresh start. I'm happy that SMUD is sponsoring this two-day event for you and for your businesses. And today's presentations are geared towards existing businesses, particularly those that had to pivot or close down or are looking to reopen because of the pandemic. If you're not familiar with SMUD's small business contracting program, it is something that you should look into. We call it SEED, which is basically, we're putting economic development into businesses. And SMUD believes that economic development is one of the community's most important aspects, and it's one of our key values. The SMUD board is so strongly invested in our local community that we have said, hey, we want bidders on our contractors to have 20% of the work go to small businesses. And I'm pleased to say that even as bad as 2020 was, SMUD had 24% of our contracts awarded to small businesses. and that represents $74.6 million. And in 2021, we've awarded nearly 25 million in contracts to small businesses. The truth of the matter is, small businesses, you are the engine that drives economic development and the creation of new jobs and products. Your innovation and your customer-oriented aspects in what you do is what makes all the difference, and that is what will be a big part of your success. SMUD tries to do the same. We pride ourselves on customer service. We pride ourselves on supporting the community, and we're so pleased to be here with you today, and we wish you the best for the rest of 2021. May it be prosperous for you, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Rosanna. Thank you again to SMUD. Thank you to our supporters, our funders, our sponsors for our center and for Capital Region Small Business Week 2021. And so with that, I'd like to move on from the opening remarks onto our first speaker for today. I'd like to introduce you to Ms. Cristela Sanchez. And Cristela Sanchez is with the IRS, and she is a community liaison stakeholder and is here to talk to you today about your rights and responsibilities and if you've had to close your business. And if you've had to close your business, there's some things you may need to do, and she's going to talk to you about that today. So thank you very much for being with us, Cristela, and I will hand it over to you.
Thank you, Sophia, and good afternoon, everyone. And thank you, California Capital and the Women's Business Center for the invite to speak about understanding your rights and responsibilities when you're going to get ready to close your business, or maybe you already have and you really don't know what the steps to take. So my time is limited today, so I have a lot to go over. So let's go ahead and get started on this. If you could go on. Okay. Excuse me. So closing your business can be so difficult and challenging task. You know, it's important that you file all appropriate tax returns before the IRS can close your account. You know, over this COVID-19 pandemic time, we got a lot of high volume calls on how to close the businesses. And so this is why I thought, well, this would be a great opportunity to explain to all of you how the steps that you need to do in order to close your business. You can't just say, I'm gonna close this business and the IRS goes away. That's not how it works. There are many steps that you need to take in order to close your business. And so I'm going to go over those steps with you. And at the end, I'm going to give you some resources of everything that I went over so you can have step-by-step instructions of how to do this. So let's go ahead and get started. So looking at the screen, oh, no, I'm sorry, go back. There we go. So looking at the screen, what you're going to need to do, these are some steps. You're going to have to file all final returns and all of the related forms that's going to be attached to that business. If you have employees, you're going to need to close out all those employment taxes. Those are going to be your 941s and your 940s. You're going to have to pay all the taxes that you owe, whether it be the employment taxes or the business structure that you are using, as well as the contractors and as well as all the employees. You're going to have to pay all the Medicare and the Social Security and the federal withholding. Again, report the payments regarding the contract workers. And this is also so important. You're going to have to cancel your EIN. That is your federal identification number, and close your IRS business account. And you're going to do that by sending us a lovely letter. And keeping your records. This is a big one, and I'm going to go over that with you. So let's go to the next slide on how to close a sole proprietorship. This sole proprietorship is your Schedule C filer. This is your 1040, and the Schedule C, which is your profit or loss from business, will get attached to the 1040. So these are the questions that we're going to be asking. Did you sell or exchange your property? If you did, you're going to need to file the Form 4797, which is the sale of business property with us. And did you have any assets? Well, if you did, you're going to have to file the Form 8594 with us. Now, you're liable for self-employment tax if your earnings was above $400. The Schedule SC is what you're going to get attached to the 1040, and you're going to make your final self-employment tax as well. And here it is when it comes to the employees that I was speaking on the slide earlier. The 941 is your employer quarterly federal tax returns. You will have to file your final quarterly return with us regarding your employees, and as well as the 940, which is the FUTA tax for your employees. Make sure that you provide all your W-2s, as well as the W-3 transmittal that's going to go on top of all your W-2s. All right, let's go on, and I'm going to explain to you how to close a partnership or corporation. It's a little bit similar to the Schedule C that I just went over, but the 1120s and 1120s do have a little bit of difference. So let's start with the 1065. So that is your partnership income return. You're going to need to report all capital gains and losses on the Schedule D for the Form 1065. This is important. You need to check the final return box on the right-hand top corner. And you're going to need to do the same with all of the Schedule K1s, which is all the partner share of income deductions and credits that you give to your shareholders. You're going to have to do the C corporation, which is the 1120. That's going to be your final return. Or if you are S corporation, then you're going to file the 1120S. Again, similar to the 1065. If you have capital gains and losses, you're going to report that on the Schedule D. And again, the final return box for that S corporation, please make sure and check that box, as well as the K1s that get attached to that S corporation. And if you did any sale or exchange of property, we want you to file the Form 4797, which is the sale of your business property. And again, the assets, the Form 8594. All right, so let's go to the next one. The next one, I'm going to explain to you how to close your business account with IRS. You'll need to send a letter with a complete legal name of your business, your employer identification number, your business address, and a statement saying that you are closing the account. You're going to send this letter to, right there, I have it, Internal Revenue Service, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45999. In this letter, we ask that you also submit a copy of the original federal identification number that you got when you first opened your business. Now, some of you may think, wow, that was 20 years ago. I don't have that letter. That's okay. That's okay. But we do need to know the number and the business name, the legal business name that you use, and the business address for that EIN. You're going to have to also report payments to your contract workers as well. And that's going to be on the 1099, which is separate from the, usually when you have employees, it's the W-2, the W-3. When you have contractors, that's a 1099, which is a non-employee compensation. And with that, you're going to file Form 1096, which is your annual summary and transmittal that goes along with all those 1099s. And to pay all these lovely taxes, you're going to go to visit irs.gov/payments. And there we have a variety of ways that you can make all of your businesses while you're closing out all your tax accounts. All right. I'm going to share with you next the ENews subscription. Whether you're closing a business or you're closing a business and getting ready to start another business, this is our ENews subscription. I highly recommend for you to subscribe to all three of these. If you don't want to, I recommend at least the ENews for small businesses. Here is where you're going to get information about upcoming important tax dates. For example, April 17th was moved to May 17th. This is where you'll get that information. And you're going to get updates on tax information tools and your resources. How about some tax compliance reminders and tips? That's very important when you're running a business. And of course, those news releases that we share have up-to-date information of what is currently in real time changing right now. So to subscribe to all of these or one of them, please visit www.irs.gov newsroom/eNews subscription. All right. Next, these are Eposters. Now, I would love for you to go to our website, www.irs.gov, type in publication 5447 or 5447A or B, depending on your business structure. These e-posters will give you step-by-step instructions of what to do to close out your business. Although I just did explain a lot of it to you, this here is your hand-in resource. Go to our website, download these, they're for free, and it will assist you on step-by-step a check mark list of what you need to do to make sure that you have all those closing returns filed and filed timely. All right, next. Okay, I just want to recap here again, because it's so important that you follow the steps in order to close out your business with IRS. If you don't do this, the IRS will continuously send you letters. Now, who wants to get those letters every week from the IRS? I know I don't. So again, file a final tax return and all the related forms, take care of all those employees, pay your taxes that you're going to owe, report payments to all your contractors, cancel your EIN and close IRS business account, and keep your business records. So I just want to go over something real quick on your business records. I get this question a lot, so I decided to look this up on our website. It says how long you need to keep your business records depends on what record in each, depends on what's recorded in each document. Okay, so property records. Generally, keep your records relating to property until the period of limitation expires for the year in which you dispose of that property. The period of limitation is a period of time in which you can amend your tax return to claim a credit or refund, or the IRS can assess additional tax. Now, for employment tax, those keeping your records is usually 4 years. But again, regarding your property records, if you have assets, we'll require them to please do, if you're going to dispose of them, we do have a period of limitation. Okay. Next, I'm going to go ahead and share with you some additional resources here. Now, if you are closing a business and getting ready to start a new business, here's publication 583, which is starting a business and keeping records. You're going to start traveling, entertaining, car expenses. You're going to be on the road more regarding your business. That's going to be publication 463. Those assets that I was talking about, how to depreciate them, that's going to be your 946. Okay. Now, the other publications that I have here, as we go to the next slide, is going to be your business expenses. This is a great publication. This is 535. Now, here's another one, which is your net operating losses. If you're going to have a loss regarding your business, publication 536 will guide you and give you procedures of how to do that, the net operating losses. Now, also, if you're going to have some collection issues, publication 594 there will assist you on the IRS collection process. Now, I want to share with you some other publications that were not on there, and I do apologize for that. Publication 542 is a corporation publication, and publication 541 is for partnerships. So those two will assist you if you're going to start opening a business again and you're going to use the business structure of a partnership or a corporation. Those two publications will assist you. And I think I'm at the end for my time there. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. I will go ahead and answer those. And if I don't get to them, please send them to Sophia, and Sophia will send them to me, and I will make sure that your questions are answered. But again, everything that I went over, I shared with you the resources. And the best resource is actually our website as well. If you go to our website and www.irs.gov and type in closing a business, you're going to get valuable information in there regarding all of that. So again, thank you, Sophia. Thank you for this time. And if you're closing your business, I hope it goes well. If you're reopening, I wish you much success. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cristela. Thank you, thank you. And you will all receive a copy of the PowerPoint. We'll make sure to get those out to you following the presentation. So next up, we will be moving on to our financing opportunities and managing growth panel. And so I'd like to virtually invite our financing speakers up to the stage if you would like. If not, we will go ahead and start with our first speaker. Again, Ms. Heather Lutzy.
Thank you so much, Sophia. That was excellent information that Christella shared with respect to the IRS and the protocols that are necessary to close out a business. The IRS is also a wonderful starting place to figure out, what type of an organizational structure you may be looking at. They can assist you with many, many things. So with respect to the financing, I kind of mentioned earlier that the SBA is a federal agency. We are funded by your tax dollars. So my encouragement to you as business owners is to utilize the services and products that SBA offers. And the reason that I say that is because you've already paid for them. They are available to you at no cost because they're already paid for. So if you're planning on starting a business, closing a business, expanding your business, if you're looking for additional capital to perhaps expand or to purchase a building or something like that, please do look into the options available through SBA. So a couple different speakers are on our financing panel today, but I'm just going to go over some of the highlights for what SBA offers. With respect to our loan guarantee programs, we have two that were incepted during the Small Business Act when the agency came on board back in 1953. So we have what we call the 7A Loan Program, which is kind of an umbrella, if you will. Many programs are associated with that 7A product or program. And then we have our 504 program. And the 504 program is specific to buildings, large equipment, large construction loan, that type of thing. So when we're looking at facilities or brick and mortar, the 504 may be the most appropriate program. In other cases, for say, an expansion or working capital or a business acquisition or something along those lines, then we would look to the 7A program. Just to give you a little bit of background, the only time that SBA can actually get involved in a loan is if there's some type of a deficit, if there's some type of risk that needs to be mitigated from the lender's perspective. So if the applicant business is able to obtain a loan through traditional channels, then they would not be eligible for SBA assistance. But that being said, there are specific requirements from lending institutions that perhaps the borrower wouldn't be able to meet. And those would be something like perhaps a credit deficiency, perhaps a loan to value is higher than what the lending institution will allow. Perhaps there was a bankruptcy in the past for one of the principal owners, and the lending institution does not allow for bankruptcies to have been filed for the owners. So any type of kind of out of the box structure of a transaction could be the reason to use SBA. Again, if everything is perfect, you've got a good down payment or good injection, excellent credit, excellent collateral, you really wouldn't need SBA. But in those cases where the lender needs to mitigate their risk in order to make that loan, that's when we would get involved. Keeping in mind that the lender would have to approve the loan and then submit to SBA for a concurrence or a guarantee. Typically, SBA is not a direct lender, although over the last 15 months, you've probably heard a lot about direct lending through our economic injury disaster loan programs. as well as the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, our Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, and then, of course, the PPP loans. Now, the PPP loans were actually facilitated by our lending partners. And all of those programs under that COVID umbrella did not have the normal requirements that SBA typically would have. So I think what we're going to talk about today is kind of traditional financing, traditional things, and not necessarily in that COVID environment. We can kind of take those as a one-off. If you need to ask questions about that stuff, my office is happy to assist. We can put our district office email address and phone number in the chat, and so you can reach us through that. So again, the different products and programs will allow lending institutions to expand their parameters and to kind of look outside the box. For example, we have part of our 7A program is an express line of credit. So what that means, it's a revolving credit line, almost like a credit card, but it carries a guarantee. So a lender perhaps may not be inclined to provide a credit line to a business, especially if they haven't been in business for a long time and don't have those historical earnings. In this case, the lending institution can come to SBA, request that product and a guarantee on that product, and then they would have a better comfort level because they would have up to a 75% guarantee on those express lines. Again, that's in normal times. Right now, we're offering up to 90% guarantees on those programs, but that's strictly because of COVID. I don't want to get into all of that because it's just going to confuse you. We work very, very closely with our banking partners and with our resource partners. We value the relationships that we have with lenders and banks, credit unions, even those online lenders in some instances, because we want to ensure that the business is getting the best service that it can and being advised properly. There are a lot of, unfortunately, unscrupulous lenders out there. And, you know, this is something that we deal with every day. You as a business owner, you don't go out and seek financing every day. You don't go out and shop for interest rates every day for these particular types of things. And we feel that it is incumbent upon us to guide you in the most appropriate manner. All lenders that deal with SBA products and programs have to subscribe to almost kind of a code of ethics, if you will. It's not actually a code, but they sign an agreement with the SBA, and there are protections involved in that. So the borrowers or business applicants would have specific protections. The interest rate cannot be over X. The fees cannot be over X. So those are implemented to protect you as the business owner. In other cases, if you were to go, I think yesterday we spoke about like merchant cash advances and online lenders. And it's so tragic when you listen to a small business that did not understand what they were getting into. They signed one of those agreements, but did not realize that every time they make a deposit into, say, their point of sale system, it's captured by that merchant cash advance. They don't have the opportunity to even pay their vendors, to pay their employees, to pay their bills. So please be very, very careful with this. Another thing that we spoke about yesterday that I think is very important is that credit is really at the forefront of you asking for financing. Your credit is really going to give the lenders the indication of what you are, what your historical patterns have been with respect to making your payments on your bills. And that goes for both personal and business credit. So just keep that in mind. I know we're going to talk a lot more about this. And so I would like to turn it over to I guess it's East West Bank right now, and Briona, and she can talk to you a little bit about what we are doing with respect to this, and then we'll go through the panel. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Heather, and hello, everyone. My name is Briona from East West Bank, and I'm honored to be here today. Thank you for having me, and thank you, Heather, to give us a great overview about the SBA program. So for my session, I just maybe just drill down a little bit more about the purposes, the benefits, and then I will focus more about, as a bank, as a lender, what do we look for and what is the requirement? And when you're ready to apply for SBA, what we require from you upfront to get the application reviewed by the bank. Okay, so just before that, just a little introduction about the bank. So East West Bank is a community bank that we headquarter in Pasadena. So actually my background is our headquarter based in Pasadena, California. So we have a little bit over 100 branches across the US from the east to the west. So that's one reason we call East West Bank. And also we do have a few branches in mainland China and also in Hong Kong. So we are very proud to be the financial bridge between the East and West. Okay, so without further delay, I'm going to share some of the information that I have prepared for everyone today. Next slide, please. So I don't get into this. Heather already shared. SBA stands for Small Business Administration, which is a government agency that created back in the last century, 1953. Next slide, please. So just a very simple concept about SBA loan, right? So there are three parties involved: business owners, the lender, and usually the expectation is a little bit different. Okay, so what the business owner want and what the lenders want, there is a gap. So thanks to SBA to bridge the gap, they come in and provide the SBA program so the lender can kind of mitigate our risk. So that's the very simple concept to talk about SBA loan. So the next slide, please. Okay. What are the benefits of SBA loan? So I just want to highlight, two things, right? It provides credit not available elsewhere for small business owners, and if they want to purchase commercial real estate, usually for conventional lender, they would require 30%, 35%, in some cases, maybe 40% for some like single purpose industries. But for SBA, because of the guarantee from the government, the minimum down payment is 10%. So it's a huge difference, right? If you only get 10% down payment, for conventional program, you cannot purchase the building. But with SBA program, you are able to purchase warehouse or your office building. Even you have the extra money, right? You have the 30%, 35% down payment. But with the SBA program that require a much lower down payment requirement, so you can save the cash for other investments or for your inventory purchases. So that's the number one benefit for SBA program. And then the other one is the terms. For conventional program, even though they may amortize for 30 years, but the program will do in 10 years. That means in 10 years, you need to refinance your loan or you have to pay off your loan. That's for real estate purchase. But for non-real estate, usually conventional lender will give you a line of credit for a year, 2 years, so short term, right? But for SBA non-CRE program, the 7A loans, they give you up to 10 years fully amortized. So the longer the term, of course, is more affordable. The monthly payment will be lower. So that I want to highlight these two benefits for the SBA programs. So next slide, please. But there's certain eligibility for business to qualify for SBA loan. So first of all is the size limit, right? But I would say 99% or 99.9% of the small businesses in the US, they will meet this size standard. So number one is the net profit cannot exceed $5 million. And also their tangible net worth cannot exceed $15 million. So again, most of the small businesses in the US will qualify this size standard. And then the next one is the business has to be for profit. So I know PPP loans, even nonprofit organizations, they qualify, but for the regular SBA program, that's Heather just mentioned, the 7A program, the 504 program, nonprofit organizations cannot qualify. And also because it's a program guaranteed by the US government, so the principal borrower, that means they have to, the majority owners, like at least 51%, they have to be either US citizen or they're green card holders. And if for CRE purchase, commercial real estate purchase, the owners of the business has to occupy the rentable space at least 51% in order to qualify for the program. So these are the basic eligibility of SBA program. So next slide, please. Well, for businesses, what most of the businesses in the US, again, they qualify for SBA, starting from like retail store, service like CPA, doctors, dentist, manufacturing company, and also the wholesale company. They all qualify. For SBA, there's certain special purpose industry that will be tough for them to get financing through a conventional lender or conventional loan program. But for SBA, it makes it possible for them. For example, hotel, motel, gas station, car wash, this kind of industry. So it's perfect for SBA loans. Next slide, please. As for purposes, I think Heather also touched on that. For 7A and 504 loan, which are the two main programs under SBA program. For 504, they mainly support the real estate purchase, refinancing, and also those heavy, big equipment. But for 7A loan, it serves the purpose of basically all the 11 needs here, including the real estate related purchase, refinancing, and other non-real estate related. For example, if the business owners want to get a new piece of equipment, they want to purchase inventory, or they want to consolidate their existing debt to save interest payments, and also ground up construction, or they want to remodel their restaurants, they want to acquire another business, or they want to expand to a second, third locations. And also if two partners, one retire and the other want to buy out the shares, and also if they want to get some working capital. So all these are qualified purposes for SBA loans. Next slide, please. So next, just briefly talk about the two main programs for 7A program and 504 program. So for 7A program, again, it helps small businesses to achieve pretty much all their financing needs, including real estate related or non-real estate related. For real estate, the LTV is up to 90%. That means they only need to put 10% down payment. And for non-CRE, the SBA lender can lend out up to 100%. And then for loan amount, the aggregate limit is up to $5 million. For the term, a CRE loan is 25 years fully amortized. And then for non-CRE is up to 10 years. For rate, it's depending on different lenders. So most of the lenders, they offer variable rate. And then prepayment penalty, also pretty standard, 3 years prepayment penalty. and then for CRE loans, and for non-CRE, that should have no prepayment penalty. So next is the 504 loan. 504 loan, well, if for 7A loan, let me back up a little bit. 7A loan is the loan proceeds is all from the lender, okay? And then SBA will guarantee the loan. But for 504 loan, actually SBA will participate through the CDC, the Certified Development Company. So there are two loans involved in the 504 loan. First loan is from the bank and up to 50% LTV. And then for the second loan is from CDC, up to 40%. The term for first loan is like pretty much like a regular commercial real estate loan. Usually lenders will offer a fixed period of time, like 3 years fixed, 5 years fixed, or 7-year fixed, due in 10 years and amortized for 30 years. That's pretty standard structure of the first loan. And for the second loan, all the SBA lenders will have the same offer. So all the CDC will offer the same program, which is now that we have a 25 years term. So 25 years fixed and amortized for 25 years. Okay. And for, I think the beauty of the 504, because it offered the fixed portion, and some customers, they really like this feature because it's more predictable, right, for the loan payment that they can anticipate. And it's 25 years term. Then for prepayment penalty, it's a little bit longer. For the first loan offered by the bank, it's usually 5 years. And then for the SBA portion, the CDC portion, is usually about 10 years. All right, so one thing about the loan amount, if you can go back to the previous page. So if customer wanted to do a green program, so meaning if they can install, you know, some solar panels, or they will save energy bill by 10%, they can participate in the green program that allow them on project base. And every project, SBA portion can be up to $5.5 million. So it's good for some, you know, customer. They are buying bigger like warehouse after they got one, if they want to get another one. So they can participate in this green program that allow them to purchase additional commercial real estate based on that $5.5 million limit. All right, next, I want to share a little bit when you're ready, right, to apply for SBA loan. Usually what lenders are looking for or require for you to start the application. So usually we will require 3 years business tax return, 3 years personal tax returns, and also your debt schedule, and also a financial, a personal financial statement telling the lender, you know, how much like assets you have and how much liability. So upon receipt of these documents, the lender will perform a preliminary financial analysis to see if you meet the criteria. Even though, yeah, Heather mentioned for SBA loan offer a guarantee for the lenders, but it doesn't mean we just close our eyes to lend out the money, right? We still have to go through the credit process, as Heather mentioned, in order to qualify the borrowers. So after we receive the financial package, we will conduct the financial analysis, and then usually we will look at a few things when we look at the financial package, which is the next slide. So we talk about 5 C's, and Heather mentioned about the credit, right? So we credit is, of course, one of the 5 C's, and the most important thing a lender will consider will be your cash flow. So based on your financial package, right, your tax returns, your historic number, we will gauge if you are able to support to service the loan, right? So the first key is your cash flow, business performance. And usually lenders will have certain ratio that will require the borrower to fulfill, whether it's a business, we call debt coverage ratio, and also the global. So the business and global, including your personal cash flow. So if you meet the lender's requirement, then usually they will move on to give you a letter of intent. Okay, and of course, other than just the cash flow, we will look at your credit history. We'll pull your credit report, personal and business credit report, to see if there's any derogative records. We have to clarify if we see that. Capital, how much you will inject, right? As a business owner, what is your commitment? How much you will inject, whether in terms of down payment, or if you want to expand your business, you want to set up a new location, how much injection you will plan to put in. And then whether you have collateral, the other C, right? If you have your primary residence, you can pledge as a collateral. It may help to secure the loan. And then the last C is the capability, right? Your experience in the industry that you want to get in. For example, if you are a restaurant owner and now you want to expand your horizon and you want to open up a bakery, right? And you want to set up a bakery, then the lender will ask you, do you have any experience in running a bakery? And if the answer is no, but I just have passion running a bakery, it may not be able to get financing if this is the case, unless, even though you may not have experience running a bakery, but you have extensive experience working in a bakery. So you may still have a chance, okay? But it's one of the C that we will look at to see whether you get the relevant experience running the kind of business that you want to get in. All right, so with this, I think that's the last slide I have. So do we take question now, or we'll wait until later?
We're going to hold on questions.
Okay, all right, and thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much. That was a lot of really awesome information. So we'll go ahead and move on to our next speaker, Ms. Carol Landry from First Northern Bank.
Good afternoon, everybody. Happy to be here and talk to you a little bit. At yesterday's session, we talked about a startup business and what you needed to start your own business. But today we're kind of moving on past that to you already have a business going. And so you'll see yesterday we talked a lot about projections, about a business plan. But once your business is established, it really kind of changes the focus more to kind of your historical performance from the banker's viewpoint. So what we would be looking at to consider a business really established is that you have at least 2 years of profitability. Whether you've been in business 5 years or 2 years, you do really need to have 2 full years, and that would be like fiscal year ends, that are profitable. And that's kind of a standard across most banks. Some banks might actually want to see 3, but 2 is kind of a real common one you see right now. And at that point, in a bank's eyes, your business has made it past that kind of initial startup phase, and you're more established at that point. And so how do we know that you're profitable? Well, we need to get financial reports from you. Of course, you would have your tax returns, but it's really important that you have more than tax returns, that you have an in-house financial reporting system. And I am surprised how often when I talk to businesses that they haven't really paid much attention to that. But if you're going to be talking to a bank about financing, it's very helpful if you can provide more than your taxes. For instance, you might not have filed your taxes yet. Maybe you're talking to them in January, and you still have several months before you might file your taxes. And of course, people do extend, and it can even be later. Or you might be talking to them in the summertime, and they're like, well, I see your taxes from last year, but how do I know how you're doing this year? So an in-house financial system is very important. The one we see, of course, most commonly is the QuickBooks system, which is a good system for most businesses when they start out. But it's always that kind of garbage in, garbage out rule too. So it's important that the person who's using it understands the system, that what they put in there is accurate. You know, we're not expecting it to be to the penny and look like you're an accountant now, but it should, you know, in general reflect how your business is doing financially. So if you provide a financial statement of, you know, 6 months, it should, you know, be accurate as far as what the revenue is, what you own, what you owe, and of course your net profits in there too. So, so good financial reporting, definitely something you need to have. And it's important also that the owner has some financial literacy and understands the statements. Sometimes I talk to people and they're like, oh, my account takes care of that, you know, or my bookkeeper. But you know, you don't have to necessarily know everything, but you should have a general idea of what your financial reports, you know, look like, what they mean. That will, of course, help you a lot in managing your own report. And when you're talking to a banker, that they understand what's going on. Even some of the more technical issues, like you might be filing tax returns that are cash basis because that's better for your tax situation. But you actually have a lot of accounts receivable, which don't show up if you're doing it cash. And when you go talk to the bank, they might be like, wow, it doesn't look like you have very much, but you actually do. So, so you might want to have an in-house statement that has, it's an accrual. So that would be on your financial statements. And if you don't know what I mean, then you need to find some more financial literacy, because it's very important that you understand. And that when you're talking to a banker, you kind of have like a, you know, talking the same language. That helps a lot. So now we're at the point, you've started your business, you've gotten past that startup phase, you have 2 years of profitability, your in-house financial reporting is pretty accurate. This is actually a really good time to start establishing credit with a bank. You might take a look and see, you know, could you use a small line of credit? If you have a seasonal business, maybe some of your vendors say, hey, if you pay earlier, we'll give you a discount. You know, there can be various reasons to have a line of credit. Or maybe you need to purchase some equipment, and maybe where you're buying it, they might be offering you financing, but that can actually be a good time to kind of start out with your bank and go in there and talk to them, get to know what bank you're with. Of course, it's very different if you're with a large bank versus a smaller bank. The larger banks are much more automated. You know, you'll be going through their system. A small to medium-sized bank, you have a better chance to actually talk to a person. Obviously, I'm from a small to medium-sized bank, so I tend to prefer them, but it's actually true that some of the large banks can actually provide small business lending pretty well too. So whatever works for you and your business, most times people will start with the bank that they have their deposit relationship with. And if that bank works for you, that's obviously the easiest thing to do. But sometimes it doesn't. And then you probably should, you know, ask other business owners, you know, who do they bank with? Are they happy with them? Would they want to recommend? It's pretty common actually when a business is first getting their very first loan, that they might change banks because the bank that worked for them for deposits might not necessarily be working for them for loans. But in any case, it is a good idea to kind of start out to get some smaller loans. We do see once in a while a business will come in and they're getting a really large loan and they've never borrowed before, but that isn't very common. Most of the time, they have started out with some smaller loans. They've kind of built up a track record. They know what the bank is looking like, or is looking for. And the bank also knows them. They know their business. They might know the owners, and that can be very helpful when you're trying to get a larger loan. And also, when you're talking to a banker, they might also say, well, you know, you're close, but maybe you need to do this, or they might say, you know, you don't quite qualify, but we can go to one of these guarantee programs that are talking today, whether it's SBA or CalCap, and then we can work with you and get that guarantee. And that kind of starts you out in establishing that credit. And then maybe down the road, you don't need that anymore, but at least it's kind of the beginning to work on that. I think some of the things the bank is really going to look at, and was mentioned previously, is of course your credit. Your personal credit is very important. Most banks, even small banks, the smaller loans are generally a credit-based system. So there might not necessarily be a person who's spending a lot of time on it. It's more that they're running a credit report on the owner or the owners, and a lot of it will be based on that. So again, you know, keeping a good credit is really important. to be able to access credit through a bank when you need it. Another thing, of course, personal guarantees. When you own a business, you know, you are on the line. All banks will ask you to personally guarantee it. And until you become a very large bank or a very large business, you will probably still be personally guaranteeing it. That's kind of just those are the territory there. Debt coverage, as was mentioned previously too, the bank is going to look at that, calculate, can you afford this? It is going to be based on historical for the most part. Sometimes if you're doing maybe a large expansion or some second location, something like that, there might be some projection based in there. But most of the time, the bank's going to take a look at what you had, what you've been doing the last couple of years. Could you have afforded this payment then? And you need to have some extra. It can't be they could just barely afford it. No, the bank wants to see some kind of cushion there to see that you can do that. Another thing, as was mentioned prior, also is your collateral, which is really sometimes called the secondary source repayment as well. So if you are not able to pay the loan as you plan, which most of the time, of course, is going to be the cash flow of the business, how else could the loan be paid? Most of the time, it's some kind of collateral. If you're buying equipment, it might be the sale of the collateral. If you're buying real estate, it might be the sale of the real estate. Lines of credit, sometimes it will be your accounts receivable, but something that will show. Your personal guarantee can sometimes add support to that because you have, personally you have some money. You may have like home equity, that's pretty common. Depending on, where you're at, the bank, or if we're going through a guarantee program, may actually ask to put a second on your house or something like that. It kind of depends, on the whole situation, but don't be too surprised if that issue does get discussed about that as well. As far as using the guarantee programs, I think most banks really are looking for that the credit makes sense, but maybe there's one weakness, which often can be that secondary source. So the business is doing well, the requests they have make sense, but maybe the business is still kind of not that well established. They've been around maybe a few years and they don't have that much money in the bank. It might be a service business, so they don't necessarily have like a lot of equipment. And so that's when we kind of go out and say, well, maybe we can get a guarantee so that if it doesn't work as planned, there is still that guarantee that will have to make the payment as well. So that's something to keep. And I would say then, once you've kind of started out and you've started the bank and you've got maybe some smaller loans or have a line of credit, then down the road, you might then at that point be able to look at some of the larger, whether your business is growing and you need more substantial credit, or you might, what you commonly see is if that's the point where maybe they're going to buy real estate. So maybe they're going to buy the building they're in, or they're going to find a building. Or maybe it's going to be a commercial condo, and a much larger transaction, often done with the 504 program that was mentioned earlier. But it really helps if you've established some credit and they can look and see that, oh yes, we've had this customer for a few years, they've made the payments fine. That's something that really helps in kind of moving you forward. And that's kind of all I had to mention, and I will pass it over to Judy to talk about CalCap.
Oh, thanks so much, Carol. It's a real pleasure to be here today with everybody. I'm Judy Fletcher, and I am the Chief Lending Officer with California Capital, meaning I manage our lending programs. And we have a number of lending programs that I'd like to talk about today, and how we are both similar and different when we consider loans through California Capital versus a traditional lender like First Northern Bank or East West Bank. So California Capital, as Sophia talked about earlier, is a community development financial institution. We are a CDFI, meaning that we're a mission-based lender with the goal of providing access to capital to those businesses that may not be able to qualify for traditional financing, and then also technical assistance to help small business owners and entrepreneurs finance their business, get the assistance that they need, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. Carol talked and Briona talked about getting guarantees on their loans. One of the flagship programs of California Capital is a state loan small business loan guarantee program. And this is a program that's similar to the SBA Guarantee Program, only it's through the state of California. So what will happen is you as a business owner will go to the bank to seek a loan. The bank underwriter will look at the loan, consider the credit, look at all the criteria that Brianna and Carol talked about. And if there is some sort of shortfall or some risk that needs to be mitigated, the bank will come to California Capital and seek a guarantee. So we can guarantee that loan anywhere up to 80% or not to exceed $1 million. We have statewide authority, so we can serve businesses throughout California. In general, people who come for a small, the state guarantee are asking for loans that are, greater than $150,000. These could be lines of credit, they could be term loans, but California Capital would receive the request for a guarantee from a bank, and then we would seek that guarantee from the state. So that's been one of our flagship programs for the past 40 years. More recently, we have started a direct lending program where we provide microloans anywhere from $500 up to $150,000. Our microloans are actually the very small loans, and those are up to $50,000. And we have a program called Jumpstart, also through the state of California. And the goal of that program is to help low wealth individuals start and expand their businesses. So if your income does not exceed $53,000, you're looking for a very small loan, we might be able to help you. We can service businesses anywhere from San Joaquin County up to the Oregon border. We also provide other loans other microloans up to $50,000 in counties that are surrounding Sacramento, including Sacramento. And then we have loans that are small business loans over $50,000 up to $150,000. We partner with SMUD to provide lending to nonprofits. We can do loans up to $25,000. And that program is administered initially through SMUD. They collect all the documents and the application, and then California Capital will close and service those loans. Again, those are specifically for nonprofits. So our loans are generally used for fixed assets, meaning we can fund equipment, vehicles, things along that nature, working capital, wages, operating expenses, inventory, and tenant improvements. So how are we similar and how are we different than going to a bank? Well, as a mission-based lender, we take a greater risk with the idea that because a business may not be able to get a loan from a bank, they can come to us and we will take a greater risk to offer them the opportunity to grow their business. The idea is we want to help businesses grow their profitability so eventually they can become bankable. And we can provide these smaller loans, somewhat like what Carol was talking about when she said maybe businesses can start smaller loans or maybe smaller loans in the bank. But if the business doesn't qualify, then there could be smaller loans through California Capital where you can really build up your profitability, your revenues, build up your business, and then eventually go to a bank. Our size standard is less than for an SBA loan. For example, we look at businesses with a net profit that's generally not greater than $2 million. Our terms tend to be less than the SBA or perhaps what a conventional lender might provide. Our terms generally are up to 7 years. So that's shorter than what typical lenders might provide. We do require guarantee from any owner that has an interest of 20% or more in the business. So that's very important to us. And we do request similar documents to what the bank requires that Bronia talked about: personal business financials, credit reports, maybe a business plan if you've only been in business for less than 2 years, things like that, projections and so on. But we talked more about that yesterday, as Carol was talking about. Today, we're talking more about established businesses. So when you apply to California Capital, what do we consider in your application? Well, We are a lender, and like all lenders, we do consider those 5 C's of credit that Bernia talked about. It's cash flow. Cash flow is important. Can your business support a loan through us? Can they pay it at the end of the day? After, you look at net income minus, you look at gross revenue minus your cost of goods sold. You get your operating expenses in there. At the end of the day, the net profit, can that support our debt? Now, we have a cash flow coverage that's generally less strict than a bank. Carol talked about looking at years of profitability. They want at least 2 years. We would certainly prefer to have your business have 2 years of profitability, but sometimes that's not the case, and we still will look at your business, but we may require a year projections looking forward. We also do look at your capacity. What's your business? How long have you been in business? What's your management experience? Who's part of your management team? Do you have a good sound accounting practices in place? That's still important to us as a lender. Contribution is very important. This is typically your, what we call skin in the game. What cash are you bringing into the business? And so we do require that a business owner provide at least 10% of their own money into the deal. And this can be funds that you have spent in previous years on your business. Some lenders want you to bring cash right into the transaction. We will also look at what you have contributed to your business in the past. Credit, of course, is a strong criteria. We do not have a minimum credit score. Many lenders will have a minimum credit score of, for example, 650, or it might be 700. At California Capital, we don't have a minimum credit score, but we still look at your credit seriously, and we want to know the story behind the credit, your credit report. So if there are some derogatory issues or late payments or bankruptcies, we want to know what happened and what you are doing to improve your credit. How are you making sure that late payments are getting now paid on time? As far as collateral goes, we don't necessarily have the same requirements as a bank. Yes, we certainly would like to have our loans secured by collateral, as any lender would, as security for their loan, but it's not a deal breaker for us. So we do file what's called a UCC, security interest, claiming security interest in your business, typically inventory, receivables, equipment, and so on. But typically there may not be any other collateral that's available. So we do look at other factors quite seriously. In other words, if there is no collateral, then we're going to take into consideration your credit much more seriously. What are you bringing to the table? How much cash are you bringing into the business, and what's your industry experience? We do like to see that there's outside income to help support the debt in case a loan should somehow default. That's important. If it's not there, that again is not a deal breaker. And if there is a home that we can take as collateral, we may do that. So again, if there isn't a collateral, we do take very seriously your credit, your management and industry experience, and what kind of cash you're bringing into the business. Sometimes, as I spoke earlier, you may not have the 2 years of profitability that a bank may be requiring. And if that's the case, let's just say you have 1 year, we're going to look at what you anticipate to bring in this next year. And so therefore we may require you to have projections. Now, last year was a tough year for almost all businesses, and there may not be any profitability in 2020, or very low profitability, or it dips significantly. We understand that. And in that case, we may ask for projections. In fact, we will ask for projections to see how you plan to really recover from COVID and what's happened. What's your plan there? Also, if you are planning to expand and you're buying a piece of equipment, your sales are going to increase, we're going to want to see projections to really understand what that growth is about and how that will impact your bottom line. Now, you don't need to get all this information or prepare these projections, put together a loan application all on your own. We do really recommend that you seek assistance because it can be overwhelming coming to a lender and asking for a loan. So at California Capital, we can provide that help. We're kind of like a one-stop shop. We have our lending team. We have our Women's Business Center that offers a myriad of trainings and workshops on all sorts of business topics. And we have our Procurement Technical Assistance Program that you'll hear about later, which offers assistance to small businesses to become certified and to help obtain government contracts. We do have business counselors that can provide one-on-one business counseling to you, including helping you with your projections and putting your loan application together, understanding how to fill out a personal financial statement and that sort of thing. And we also work with our resource agencies in the community. One of those resource agencies is the Small Business Development Center. And with that, I'd like to pass the presentation on to Sunita, who is with the SBDC Finance Center.
Judy, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you to Sophia, the WBC and CalCap team, and also all the participants today for such great information to share with everyone. I am Sunita Maharaj with the NorCal SBDC Finance Center. I am the director of the Finance Center, and we are a regional Northern California program, and so we can help all small businesses in the Northern California area. We also can work with all lenders such as Judy, Carol, and all the other lenders that are on this panel today and much more. So the SBDC has been around for over 40 years. We've been assisting entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs have turned to the SBDC for help to expand existing businesses and or start a new enterprise through free one-on-one advising, workshops, and additional resources. The Northern California SBDC and the Finance Center helps jumpstart startups and helps existing businesses to thrive. So today, day 2, we are talking about existing businesses and possibly expansions and how you can get loan ready. Everyone here today has talked about credit. So that is definitely forefront of what you should know. If I were your advisor, this is one of the first things that we would do. I would talk to you about what you would like to accomplish during our session. And then also I would ask you if you know your credit score and what's on your credit report. Not as of 3 months ago and not even as of 2 weeks ago, but as of right now while we're talking, because things can happen and change. You can get a free credit report from annualcreditreport.com, free once a year. And this way you will know exactly what is on that credit report. You will also know your credit scores. If there is a derogatory account on that credit report, let's get that taken care of before we even submit your loan to a lender. You want this taken care of beforehand, because what will happen is it's going to slow down the process. Once they pull that credit report, and if that shows the derogatory account is still there, then you will have to clear that up, and it just pushes you back into the system, or they may not even be able to approve your deal this go around. You may get a decline because of the credit, and then you would have to resubmit. So to take care of all of this upfront is the way to go. We at the SBDC, the Finance Center, and also the other technical assistant providers here today will assist you with that. We will read through your credit report and help you understand exactly what it is that it says. I did work with a client at one time. They had a 650 score, which right now it seems like a lot of people do have lower scores right now because for one reason or another. Judy says they don't even need a minimum score, which is awesome, but other lenders do. They had a 650 maybe 2 months ago. All of a sudden, we pulled their credit and it went down to a 580. The reason is because they paid their payments late. Why did they pay their payments late? They were so busy, they forgot to pay them. This is not something a lender wants to hear, by the way. So let's get that corrected. Let's call up that credit card agency or whoever the lender is, and try and get that off your account, or let the lender know you've set up processes to negate that from here on in. You have minimum payments every single month, because everyone gets busy and we get that. So what have you then now put into place so that your payments are no longer late? That's what we're going to do. That's the letter that we're going to put together, and then we're going to show all the lenders that you are serious and that you have your things together. How much money do you need? And what are the funds going to be used for? So these are things that we're going to talk about as well. Are you trying to expand? Do you want to pay off business debt at a lower rate? How are you going to use the funds, and how much of the funds are you going to use? A $50,000 loan takes the same amount of paperwork as a $5 million loan. And it doesn't mean that you would qualify for a $5 million loan, but I just want you to know that that's the same amount of paperwork that you would apply for a $50,000 loan. You would apply for a $5 million loan. So that's just something good to know. And then that way you can really assess as well, do you need $50,000 or $150,000 to really get done what you need to get done for your business? And that way you can do it all at once, instead of thinking this year I'll get 50, next year I'll get another 50, because the cost wise too, there's additional fees that go into that. Everyone in here has also said, know your business financials. I have worked with clients that have had issue with their balance sheet, and they just didn't know what was wrong with it. They know that there was a negative, but they can't tell me what the negative is. My accountant just puts it there every single month, and he said it was this or she said it was that, but I don't really understand. That's also something that the lender does not want to hear. They want you to be the person that knows the most about your business, not your accountant. So we'll walk through that. That's another thing, is that we ask the questions that lenders would ask you. So that way you're prepared. When the lender asks you a question, you have the answers to those questions, or we already have a letter submitted within your package to the lender to help explain this. Getting professional assistance from a CPA or a bookkeeper, bookkeeping service might be something that you want to look at after being in business for 2 to 5 years or longer. Set up appointments with them on a monthly basis. If that's too much, maybe on a quarterly basis, to make sure the information that they are providing is accurate. If you have questions, ask the questions. And if they can't give you the answers, then that means there is an issue, and that needs to get clarified right away. And maybe that's not the group of people that you want to work with at this point in time. I would interview people. I would interview bookkeepers. I would interview CPAs. I would interview your lenders. I would interview your bankers. So, you know, who is going to be a great fit for you? So these are some things that can really help your business and really help you get loan ready. You'll need, as everyone had stated, and also East West Bank have put out great information on what it is that you're going to need at minimum. Current profit and loss statement. So a current one, end of last month, that's what they're looking for. A balance sheet, business debt schedule, 3 years of business and personal tax returns, and a personal financial statement to get started. If you don't know what these things are, that is okay. We'll walk you through it. We'll help you understand what these different documents are that are going to be needed for your request for a loan. The other things that you're going to need are also copies of entity documents. So if they say it's a go, yes, you know, we'll be able to give you a loan. You're going to need your entity documents, current business licenses, your ID, and other things. How you name these documents is really something else to be organized and for the lender. So that way, when they're looking at your documents, you sent over a 1040 2020. Awesome. Or personal, you know, tax returns 2020. If you name it for them, you lead the horse to the water, as they say. It's going to make it so much easier for them to review all of their documents. stay organized. And I know that's easier said than done. We all get busy. Even I love to be organized. I found this last year has been a little bit more challenging to get there, especially during tax season. I was going through a lot of paperwork, and I'm sure everybody was too. That's not normal for what I usually do, but things happen and I get it. But if you set a time on your calendar to do these things, for me, that's what works. So on a monthly basis, I set my calendar up, I go through my paperwork. It takes me 15, 20 minutes rather than at the end of tax season or when you're having to submit things to your bookkeeper or accountants where it's taking hours for you to put this stuff together. So time management's another thing. That's another thing to help you get loan ready, believe it or not. I'm not sure. I think I went pretty quickly through all of this. So I'm sorry if I talk too fast. I apologize, but I am going to hand it over. I believe we're taking questions at the end, and I think we are still answering questions during this whole process as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sophia. Hey, I just want, I'm sorry, Sunita. I have Sophia on my mind. Hey, I think that you brought up wonderful, wonderful points. You know, I think from the standpoint of approaching your lender as if you are interviewing them, you as business people need to really adopt the understanding that this is a partnership. You are going to need your lender. You are going to need to know what their requirements are, how they like to work. It's a relationship. So I think that that's excellent, excellent advice that you had given. Judy, you look like you wanted to say something as well.
Oh, Heather, you read me so well. Actually, I was going to say that to that point, I'm really glad you re-emphasized what Sunita said, because when we ask our borrowers questions or our clients questions, it's not that we are doubting the information. We aren't questioning what they're doing. We're trying to understand what they're doing. And there's no need really to get defensive or argumentative or, you know, any of that or confrontational. We're just trying to understand the business so we can best serve those, serve your needs. And so that's why we might ask questions. Sometimes I call myself Columbo. I don't know if any of you remember that show where Columbo would always go back to who he's suspecting and say, I just have one more question. And that's usually what I do. And it's, again, not because I'm questioning anything you've told me. It's just that I need to understand. I need to understand what that credit's about. I need to understand why that late payment. I need to understand about that bankruptcy. Can you tell me more? So I think that relationship is really important. And to the extent that a business owner can answer those questions really does speak to character.
Absolutely. And I wanted to let everybody know too, because Judy and Heather, they bring up great points. When a lender is asking you a question, they are trying to understand. You have to understand that they're not the only ones that are going to look at this loan request. There is a committee that looks at these loan requests. Most lenders have committees that look at these loan requests. When they look through the package and they see that there is a late payment of credit, they're going to ask why. I absolutely know why. The profit and loss statement doesn't look correct. The balance sheet doesn't look correct. If anybody has had the opportunity to sit in on one of those, I would say it's pretty daunting, and you know what, it should be, because they're trying to make sure that the money that the lenders have are going to the right people and for the right reasons. So you have to have the answers to that. So yes, please don't get defensive. They are trying to understand, so that way they can state all this information back to all of those that are going to ask the questions later on.
I think I'd also interject to that, Sunita, is when you approach your lender and tell them that you're looking for a loan, and your lender comes back and says, okay, well, how much are you looking for? The absolute wrong answer is not, well, how much are you going to give me? Because the lender has to have satisfaction that you know your business, that you know how these dollars need to be allocated, They're going to ask you for kind of a use of proceeds. Where are these funds going to go? And you need to know that information. You know, if you feel like you need, you know, $100,000, you have to have that all penciled out on a piece of paper so that the lender can understand what those needs are and why you need that. So just a little bit of advice. Just wanted to also point out, if our audience has any questions, can you please put them in the Q&A and we'll go through and answer those as we're having this discussion.
Mhm.
Thank you all so much. And our final speaker for this panel just joined us. And so if there are, I don't see any questions that have come in so far, but we have one more speaker for the panel, and then we'll see if there might be any afterward, and we can address those if there are. And so I just want to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Irvin Elimaz. I'm sorry I butchered your last name. Assistant Professor of Management Information Systems and Faculty Coordinator for the California State University Sacramento Center for Small Business. So thank you so much for being with us to talk to small businesses today about managing their growth.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Sophia. And I'm sorry, everyone, for being late. I just finished another Zoom meeting, but it's a pleasure to be here with you all this afternoon. And I would like to take a few minutes to talk about our free project service consultation services at Sacramento State University with respect to nonprofits, startups in the Sacramento area. And then I would like to do a QA. So if you have questions, I will be more than happy to answer it. I shared a document with you, Sophia. I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at it, but we offer many different free project consultation services. I personally take the lead on website development and mobile app development oriented projects, but we have many different professors in the business school. For example, some focus on marketing oriented projects to help local organizations spread the word around in the Sacramento area so they can get new customers. We also work on supply chain oriented projects. We have, let's see, project management oriented tasks we have worked on in the past. But overall, I would say our projects involve maybe one school semester or 2 semesters, depending on the complexity of a project. Students are, I would say, typically in a team, maybe say 5 students, and they engage in discussions with a client, just like you participants here during this project time to figure out what is the client's business need and what is the best way to accomplish that business need so that the output of the project is going to be something valuable to the client's business. And these projects, students capitalize on them on their resumes when they make their job applications. We have had projects, for example, I have been doing this the last 4 years. I had one student in the past, he took a project manager role in his team, and he built a website for ABC, Alcoholic Beverage Control Department in Sacramento. They liked his job performance and they hired him as a full-time employee after graduating Sac State. So those, I think, are great opportunities in Sacramento area. And I have also seen students in the past, they built, I would say, small consulting business where they work on projects like this on site in addition to their full-time jobs. So I think there are great opportunities there. Does anyone have any question that I can answer?
I don't see any questions that have come through there, but if there Thank you so much. Thank you very much for that information. I'm not seeing any come through, but if anyone has any questions in total for our financing panel, please feel free to raise your hand or drop them in the chat or in the Q&A.
Yeah, absolutely. And one other thing I could give you, Sacramento State Center for Small Business. We have worked with, I would say, more than 4,000 small businesses and family enterprises since 1969, when the department was first established. In addition to those projects I mentioned to you, we also work on business intelligence, data analytics projects, social media projects, strategic management, internal communication, external communication oriented projects, human resources oriented projects. So those are our main areas at the point, but beyond those, we would also be very interested if you have a project need I did not mention. We would be happy to work on it. Let me put a link in the chat. So this is the formal link for application. We are currently accepting project applications for our fall semester. If you are interested in it, please feel free to send an application there. I'm managing that. Registration is a 3-step process. The first step is very generic. What's your business name? What's your first name, last name, contact information? Once you fill that out, you get an automated email that provides you a link to another survey. That one asks very specific project-oriented questions. So what do you need? When do you need? What are some good times for you to communicate with students based on your work schedule? After that, I look at those surveys completed by you, and then I match you with a professor who is interested in that particular area. And typically, I do that in the very beginning of fall semester, I would say last week of August. So for example, if you are interested in a marketing-oriented project, and I give your contact information to our marketing professor and I ask them, hey, please contact this client. And the professor works with that client to better understand their needs and then find a student team that will be most successful working with that particular client on that particular project. Overall, I would say that our goal here is to help our small businesses become successful. And in the meantime, we want our students get hands-on project experience that they can capitalize on during their job interviews, maybe ask clients, potential clients like you, for example, we worked on this project for 1 semester or 1 year. Can I put you as a reference when I do my job application? So those are the type of relationships we are looking for here at Sac State.
Thank you so much. And we do have a few questions that came in through the chat. And so if our financing panel is still here, I'd like to read off one of them that came through. For the first question that we have from Ms. Lisa Thomas, for education information services, how likely are such businesses able to secure funding in general?
Hi, it's Heather. So I can answer that at least from an SBA perspective. With respect to teaching facilities or tutoring or anything like that, that would be an eligible business type as far as SBA goes, provided it's not religious in nature or anything along those lines. So with respect to educational sources, we would support those types of businesses.
Thank you, Heather. Judy, did you want to give any remarks?
No, I just see that Lisa Thomas explained FYI, educational services, that is basically consulting services only. So if you have a consulting, excuse me, I'll put my camera back on. If you have a consulting business, then I think that would be an eligible business, certainly. And whether it's, education or any other topic, but yes, that would be eligible.
Thank you. I hope that answered your question, Lisa. And if not, feel free to ask away even more or type in the chat. Anyone else have any questions or thoughts? Well, okay. Thank you very much to our financing panel, to our speakers. I really appreciate all of you being here with us. And so with that, we are slightly ahead of schedule, but we do have time for a brief break. I realize that was a lot of information when it comes to financing and the opportunities. And so before we move on to our procurement panel, I just want to give everyone a quick breather, break quick, and come back in 10 minutes. So it's 3:15, and we will return here at 3:25. And I will make sure to add that to the chat as well. So we'll take a quick 10-minute break, and we'll be back to start with our procurement panel, our government contracting panel. Thank you so much, everyone. Hello, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed your break. Let's go ahead and get started with our procurement panel. And so if you all are ready to learn more about government contracting, I'd like to go ahead and introduce our procurement panel and welcome them to the stage, virtual stage, of course. But first, our first speaker on our procurement panel will be Mr. Ivor Newman, and he is the director of the Procurement Technical Assistance Center at California Capital. So with that, I will pass it over to Ivor.
Thank you, Sophia. We do have a presentation that we need to load, so thank you, Sophia. Okay, well, first I'd like to thank you. Thank everyone on the WBC, the Women's Business Center side, for pulling this event together. It's been great so far, and I look forward to the rest of the day's activity. In addition, thanks to all of the presenters for providing what I would consider to be great advice and guidance to all who have attended. And third, I'd like to thank everyone who's in attendance. We've all got a lot going on, and it's a commitment that we all have to follow through on, and I appreciate you taking the time to attend. Well, one, it's a privilege to participate in the event, in the California Regional Small Business Week event, and what I'd like to do is, before we get started, more often than not, we just jump right into who we are and what we do. But I'd like to do things a little bit differently today. I'd like to start with why would you want to engage with the PTAC? And we sort of boiled it down to 3 questions. And the intent is for you to be able to answer yes to each of these questions as to why you'd want to engage the PTAC. Are you an established business? And by established, I mean, do you have a proven track record of providing products and/or services in a commercial setting? Is your company currently positioned for expansion? And are you interested in selling, whether it's your product and/or service, to the government? And by the government, I mean whether it's local, state, or federal. If you've answered yes to all 3 of those questions, then you would want to engage the California Capital Procurement and Technical Assistance Center, or a PTAC that's within your region. My contact details are listed on this particular page. I'm presuming that a copy of the PowerPoint presentation will be distributed to all that are in attendance. Feel free to engage me. I consider myself very responsive. So once again, here's my email address, and you've got my phone number. Since we're working virtually, all phone voicemails that are left are sent to my email. So I do receive them, and I do follow through. So once again, here's my contact details. Don't be afraid to engage. Next slide, please. So the California Capital PTAC is one of 300 PTACs distributed nationwide. We at California Capital provide support to 16 counties, Sacramento and counties that are listed here on this page. We are funded in part through a grant issued through the Department of Defense, and the program is administered through the Defense Logistics Agency. So all of the services that are included within the PTAC are at no additional cost to you. You can see the 16 counties that are listed below. If by any chance your company is headquartered within any one of these counties, then the California Capital PTAC is the right PTAC for you. In the event you're not located in one of these 16 counties, I've included a link. The link is to the Association for Procurement and Technical Assistance Centers, of which we are a member. But by selecting that link, you'll be presented with a page. You'd select the state, and by selecting the state, you'll be presented with a list of PTACs with the counties that they provide support to, and the contact information in which to engage that particular PTAC. Now, our goal here is to assist small businesses who qualify based upon those 3 previous questions, who are looking to engage in government contracts, right? So that's our intent. Next slide, please. So the question is, how do we provide the services to small businesses like yours? So we follow a principle that I've referred to as the 3 Ps. We help organizations prepare, pursue, and perform on government contracts. Most of our effort, and if you've engaged with the PTAC, and if you haven't, I hope that you do, is involved in the first 2 Ps. We put a lot of emphasis on the prepare and pursue components, and some of them I'll get into the next few slides. But how do we assist you? We assist you by providing one-on-one counseling, by registering the link that's displayed on the bottom of this slide. We will review your application. Once your application is approved, it will be assigned to a PTAC counselor. That counselor will then reach out to you and schedule an initial meeting. During that meeting, they'll speak to you about your aspirations. What are you trying to accomplish? What is a product and/or service that you sell? What is your commercial standing? Who are your customers today? They'll try to obtain a better understanding as to who you are and what you do. And through one-on-one counseling, they will be more aware as to the scope of services that you're looking for, your own capabilities, and they'll be able to identify opportunities along with you. We offer workshops and training. The last few slides of this deck will speak about some of the workshops and training activities that we have going on. So stay tuned for that. And bid matching. We do offer a bid matching service, and this is one of the unique elements of the California Capital Procurement and Technical Assistance Center. Once you have registered with us and you've become a client, when you've met with your counselor will offer the bid matching services to you. And what we will do is, once you've gotten to the point where you've selected various aspects, as an example, your NAICS code, and keywords that pertain to your organization, the product and/or services that you sell, we will create a profile for you within this bid matching system. And as a result, the bid matching service will identify opportunities within 5 different databases, which search the local, state, and federal opportunities, and will email you notification of the match. At that point, what we do is we advise you to get a hold of your counselor and then to have a discussion as to whether or not that particular match is something that you'd want to pursue. So once again, this all starts with you registering with the California Capital PTAC. As a result of registering, the counselor will be assigned to you, and that counselor will work with you. You can view that individual as an advocate that's working on your behalf. Next slide, please. So here's a list of some of the services that we offer, and I'll get into each of them. So understanding government contracting requirements. So there are a variety of certifications that are out there today, and many people aren't aware as to what the requirements are. So they'll hear something from someone and they'll say, oh, this is what I want to do. And what we do is we slow things down a little, right? We ensure that, one, you understand the requirements of the various certifications. So as an example, on the state side, we would review the certifications for the small business certification, the small business public works certification, the DVBE certification. That's all offered through the Department of General Services. We'll ensure that you're aware as to what the requirements are, and if you do meet the requirements, we'll assist you in pursuing those certifications. So we'll also assist in understanding the requirements for a variety of federal certifications, whether it's a woman-owned small business, an economically disadvantaged woman-owned small business, whether it's a veteran-owned small business or a service-disabled veteran-owned small business, whether you've heard of the 8A program and you'd like to find out a little bit more as to what the requirements are, or the Hub Zone program, or even the DBE program. What we would do is we'll work with you to ensure that you understand the requirements. And then what we'll do is we'll work with you to apply for each of those certifications. So your counselor, and by the way, we have a very small group within California Capital, but we have over 30 years on average experience across the team. So we do have a very strong team that's well-versed in all of these areas that can assist you. we also are recognized as a CVE, which is Center of Verification and Evaluation through the VA. So for all of you veterans out there who are interested in pursuing veteran opportunities, if you haven't already done so, please engage with the California Capitol. We do have a specialist on staff that could assist you throughout that process. So once again, we'll help you to secure necessary state registrations and certifications, and also federal certifications. We will assist you in understanding what the government actually buys. So we have conversations almost every day where someone will come to us and say, I'm not sure if the government buys this particular thing, because in a commercial setting, it may be unique. So what we do is we take a look at procurement, past procurements. So we'll take a look in various databases, whether they're state databases or federal databases, to identify whether or not that particular product and or service has been procured. And if in the event it has, we can narrow the search down to determine volume of sales and also identify the various agencies that are procuring that product. You know, I have lots of stories of individuals who will come to me and just basically give me their capability statement. And I'll ask them, why are you giving it to me? It just seems as though they're just giving it to anyone who will take it. But we don't, our approach is a little bit different. What we try to do is to not only respect your time, but respect the time of the procurement entities also. So by you approaching a particular department, you've done your market research, you've done your due diligence to ensure that the entity that you're approaching has a history of buying the product or services that you're selling. So by you presenting them with what we've referred to here as your capabilities statement, that's a one-page document that highlights who you are. It identifies key differentiators for you, your past performance, and also if it's for a federal engagement, we'll identify your NAICS codes and your product and services codes. And if it's on the state side, we'll identify what they call the UNSPSC codes. So we would ensure that your documents are in alignment with who you're pursuing and have, quite frankly, included the appropriate information. So by virtue of taking a look at who has a historical background as far as procuring the product and or service that you offer, aligning you with having an appropriate capability statement and engaging the appropriate entities, what we hope as a result of that, you would receive bid opportunities. So what we'll do as the Procurement and Technical Assistance Center is once you've identified a bid opportunity, we encourage you to engage your counselor. And your counselor will work with you, not only to review the opportunity, but to ensure that it's something that, you know, one, you've recognized all of the requirements and that you agree to all of the requirements. Because more often than not, what we find is that individuals will see the dollar volume, but not necessarily the scope of work as it relates to where the actual work is going to be conducted and the requirements for them to provide services in that location. So we break down the bid opportunities and we work with our clients to ensure that they fully understand it. And as a result of that, if they decide to pursue it, we'll work with them in regards to responding to that particular RFP or RFQ. So in proposal preparation, we won't do it for you, but what we'll do is we'll provide guidance to you to ensure that you're fully aware as to what the requirements are of each of the solicitation and that you respond accordingly. We do have a member on staff also that provides guidance in regards to accrual-based accounting systems that are FAR compliant, federal acquisition regulation requirements, to ensure that once you've acquired a contract, that you adhere to all of the financial components of that particular contract. Next page, please. So I've included a link to the California Capitol, really it's the California Capitol calendar. you'll see that on a monthly basis, we have a number of reoccurring classes. We do one-off classes also, but what I've done here is I've listed the reoccurring classes so that you can be aware. My guidance to each of the counselors is to teach, right? We attend webinars quite often, and it seems as though the goal of the person presenting is just to get to the end. And we don't take that approach. What we want to do is we want to ensure that by you attending our webinar, you are learning. We have webinars in regards to how to do business with the federal government. Each of these webinars typically lasts about an hour or 90 minutes. Marketing Your Business 101, it's an introductory class, but keeping in mind that there's a lot of information that's covered. And in addition to any of these particular workshops, we encourage you to engage with your counselor to ensure that, one, you fully understand the materials, and two, that you're working with your counselor to better prepare yourself to engage government entities. Federal government contracting, did you know? What we've done there is that we've put together a list of frequently asked questions. So across the entire team, we sit down and we discuss a lot of the various activities that we encounter on a weekly basis. And if we find that there's repetition, people are asking the same things, or there's a little confusion about a particular aspect of government contracting, what we do is we include it in this Did You Know component, a workshop. And that way we can ensure that individuals are aware of the information, and that once again, if there are any questions, they can feel free to engage us and we can clarify them. Beta.sam.gov, for all of you who are in federal contracting currently, or who are looking to engage in federal contracting, one of the requirements is to register on a system called sam.gov. You will not be able to pursue a federal contract without having a registration within sam.gov. Now, I'm not sure how long it's been going on, but it's been going on for quite some time. There have been a consolidation of 10 federal websites down into a single website. And once that consolidation started, they referred to the consolidated site as beta.sam.gov. On the 24th of this month, sam.gov will be rolled into the beta.sam.gov website, and therefore the beta will go away. So, but the long story short here is during this particular webinar, we explain the 10 sites that are being consolidated and why you would engage on each one of those sites, what's the pertinent and relevance of each of those sites, and also how to navigate the new beta.sam, well, technically on the 24th, the new sam.gov site. USA Spending, it's a database for all federal opportunities. It identifies spending. And it's really quite unique. There are lots of filters and views that you can leverage from within this particular database. And we've set up a webinar so that you can look within the database and identify the information that's pertinent to you. Acquisition.gov, what we do in this particular webinar is we look forward, right? So entities that produce a forecast, right? So for federal entities that say, hey, we intend to spend money within these categories, that's where acquisition.gov comes into play. So what we'll do is we'll take a look at those entities and your product and or service, and we'll work with you, leveraging the database, obviously, to ensure that you have a clear understanding as to who in the future is looking to buy the product and or service that you sell. And we've added a new webinar to the series, of which we conducted part 2 earlier today. It's a 2-part series, and it's about the GSA multiple award schedule. And part 1 speaks about what is the program, why you'd want to engage within the program, and determining whether or not your organization is a fit for the GSA program. And part 2 this morning, where all of the sort of nuts and bolts as to how to complete the application process and what to expect once the application process starts, and hopefully once you've been approved, what you should expect from the organization moving forward. Now, another unique component of California Capital is we have structured a relationship with an organization called Govology. So for all PTAC registered clients, we offer this platform to them. The platform itself is web-based. There are some live events that take place on this particular platform, but in short, it's a collection of information that's pertinent to government contracting. So by virtue of becoming a PTAC client, we'll provide you with a unique code. That code will allow you to log into the system and participate in the training sessions at no cost to you. Under normal circumstances, a training event through Govology could cost anywhere from $50 to probably upwards of $300. And there's a variety of classes that are offered through Govology. And once again, this is a unique service offering that's provided through the California Capital PTAC. Next slide, please. So we do have a variety of partners. We've partnered with, whether it's local entities, state entities. We're aligned with, I would have to say the majority of California state entities. And we do have a very strong relationship with a variety of federal entities also. Being in Sacramento, we've got, quite a few federal agencies here. So we have a strong relationship with them. I've referenced some of the activities that we have going on here. So the Government Contracting Assistance and Networking, we call it the GCAN meeting. It occurs every third Thursday. This particular month, we've canceled it because we've got 2 week-long events that are going on. But typically it's the third Thursday of each month, and it runs for about maybe an hour and a half. A lot of vital information is included there. Sometimes, updates as it relates to federal programs, because we've partnered with the SBA on this particular platform. So a lot of updates coming in from SBA, and we'll provide guidance as it relates to the other entities that we have responsibility for, whether it's local and or state. And I've referenced some of the partners that we have relationships with below, whether it's DGS, Caltrans, CAL FIRE, and a host of others. We have monthly reoccurring workshops with the County of Sacramento. So if you'd want to engage in any of the County of Sacramento programs, I'd encourage you to go ahead and participate on the webinar. And SMUD as an example, and I'll reiterate Sophie's comment earlier on. Thank you for sponsoring this event. We appreciate your focus and your efforts. But we do have a monthly, in fact, we have 2 workshops that occur every month through the PTAC, sponsored through the PTAC. And we encourage you, if in the event you are unfamiliar with the procurement practices of SMUD, that you engage our calendar, schedule yourself for a workshop, and participate. Next slide, please. So I'd like to say thank you. 1, for participating today, and 2, just to reiterate the fact that the 3 Ps are our focus, right? Help you prepare, pursue, and perform in government contracts. We do this by providing one-on-one counseling, by facilitating workshops and training sessions, and through our bid matching service. And in the event you didn't capture our registration link, it's californiacapital.org/PTAC. And we look forward to working with you. And back to you, Sophia.
Thank you so very much, Ivor. It is an honor and a privilege to have the Women's Business Center and PTAC at the same host organization. At our host organization, we like to think of ourselves as a continuation of services where we are able to provide one-on-one counseling, whether that be through the Women's Business Center or one-on-one counseling through our Procurement Technical Assistance Center or even our lending department. So whether you have questions that are government contracting related or general business questions or questions that are related to access to capital, we are definitely here for you. And so thank you again, Ivor, for sharing all about the Procurement Technical Assistance Center. And so I would like to introduce our next speaker, Ms. Jeannie Robinson, and she is with SMUD, and she is an economic development representative, and will be speaking to you today on how you can do business with SMUD. Jeannie?
Yes, thank you, Sophia, and thank you, Ivor. You know, at SMUD, we appreciate the opportunity to join California Capital and the SBA to support this wonderful event each year. I'm really looking forward to following Ivor's presentation about the incredible services that they offer at the PTAC. As he mentioned, we've been super lucky to be able to partner with them and offer trainings about how to do work with SMUD as well. And so today I'm going to take a few minutes to talk about selling your services and your products to us, to SMUD. And my name is Jeannie Robinson. I am an economic development representative for SMUD and an advocate for our SEED program, which we'll talk a little bit about today. I also have Arlene Chacon and Heidi Pyle, who are joining me here today, and they're part of our SEED team as well. And they're going to be able to answer any questions that you might have. So please feel free to use the Q&A feature and submit your questions at any time as we go along. So we'll go to the next slide. So first, a little bit about SMUD. We've been providing electric utility services to the Sacramento area for over 70 years. We are community owned, and we are not for profit. And that mentality really infuses everything we do. We have 7 board members on our board of directors, and they're elected by you every other year to represent you in your neighborhoods. And because of that, we're really focused on our customers' needs. We don't have shareholders that we report to. So really, we report to our customers. And that's why we're always here. That's why you always see us out in the community and trying to work with our residential and our commercial customers. On the next slide. So at SMUD, you know, as I mentioned, we're really committed to being a regional partner, and that's in business growth and attraction as well. And some of our specific programs and services include things like incentives and rates to attract businesses to our area. So we have low rates, build projections, economic development rate options, and then also the SEED program that kind of feeds into all of that. We have a ton of energy service rebates and programs. We have energy efficiency programs that we offer. We have special design teams that can help our commercial customers to look at ways to customize their services, to save money, and also reduce their energy use. Some of the other things that we do, we offer loans and financing. We've been really grateful to partner with California Capital and offer through over the last year, offer our microloan program, which is specifically for local nonprofits. And then we also have other economic development partnerships that we really work with, places like the Greater Sacramento Economic Council, the Governor's Office of Economic Development, and any other partners that really we can help and work together to attract new businesses to our region and to retain businesses that might be looking to leave the area. We offer, again, educational programs, partnerships with business associations similar to SBA and California Capital, as well as a lot of our local chambers of commerce. On the next slide. So SMUD plays a really big role in the local economy. On average, we award or spend, if you will, approximately $100 to $300 million each year. And our supplier education and economic development program, which we also call SEED, is designed to ensure that when we spend that money, we are making sure that 20% or more of our contracts get awarded to our local small businesses each and every year. On the next slide, I want to talk a little bit before we get into the SEED program, just give you a really high level overview of what our procurement process is like. You got a lot of information from Ivor in his last presentation, talking about how the PTAC really offers very specialized services to help you prepare to submit bids or proposals to local governments like SMUD, or agencies like SMUD, I should say. And this is how our procurement process works. First, we have an end user or somebody within the company who submits what we call a requisition for goods or services. Basically, they're looking to buy something. They submit that to our supply chain department, and our supply chain department then creates what we call a solicitation. And that is really the opportunity for you to bid. And the solicitation gets posted out on our electronic bid solicitation system, or Ariba, which we use these days. And then we look to you, we look to our local vendors and suppliers to submit your bids and your proposals. And then when those bids or some proposals are submitted, the end user that's looking for that product or service gets together with the supply chain team, and they do an evaluation. A lot of times what they're evaluating for is just price. We're just buying based on the lowest price if we're buying materials or commodities. Or we might be looking at your full proposal on how you can provide us with a service or a product that we're looking for. Once that bid or proposal is evaluated, then the contract is awarded based on the results of that evaluation. Next slide, please. Now, our Supplier Education and Economic Development Program, SEED, is our small business program, which governs a portion of the purchases that we make, as I mentioned earlier. This program is really designed to promote the growth and success of our local economy. And we do that by offering contract incentives to local small businesses here in the SMUD territory. Our goal at SMUD is to ensure that 20% or more of our contracts go to our local small businesses. Last year, for example, in 2020, which was a tough year for everybody due to the pandemic, we actually successfully awarded 24% of our contracts to local small businesses, and that translated to over $74 million worth of contracts. This year, we're already on schedule to make sure that we meet and exceed that 20% goal again. Now, vendors and suppliers can qualify for our SEED program by meeting two requirements. First, you must be certified as a small business. And this is done through the California Department of General Services. You can visit their website to get that going. And I also heard Ivor saying that that's a service that they offer. So if you're looking to work with the California Capital PTAC, it sounds like that's something they can help you do as well. Now, the second qualification for the SEED program is your business has to be headquartered in SMUD territory. So be a customer, a commercial customer, for a minimum of 6 months. And as long as you meet those two requirements, you are eligible to receive the benefits and incentives of the SEED program. And you have our website here if you want to get more information, but we'll talk a little bit more here on the next slide. So now that you know how to qualify to become a SEED vendor, you're probably wondering, well, what are the benefits? And as you can see listed here, once you're a SEED vendor, you'll receive a 5% price advantage on your bids. I'll explain this in another slide as we move along. But you'll also automatically earn up to 10 points towards the evaluation when you submit a proposal. And that can be big because usually our proposals have a total of 100 points. So you're essentially going to get 10% off the bat. Now, also as a SEED vendor, you have opportunity to participate in our sheltered market solicitations. And again, I'll talk about that as we move forward in a little bit. And then finally, when you're certified as a small business, not only do we recognize that, but as Ivor mentioned, other local agencies, state and federal as well, will recognize that certification as well. And at SMUD, as a certified small business, you will get paid on your invoices when you're contracted with us in 20 days. And that's rather than our typical 30 to 45 days. We recognize that you're a small business and cash flow is super important. So we want to honor that as well. Next slide, please. So on the last slide, we talked about benefits, and one of those was a 5% price advantage, which sounds great, but it's not always self-explanatory. So I want to take a little bit deeper look at what this advantage looks like. So on the slide, you'll see how this is calculated. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. So on the slide, you'll see how this can be calculated and make a difference in winning contracts. So let's say at SMUD, we're looking for a large number of desk calendars, or could be anything. But let's say we receive 2 bids, and one bid is from a seed qualified vendor, and one is from a non-seed qualified vendor. So somebody big, maybe like Office Depot. So the seed bidder comes in and they bid at $102,000. Office Depot came in and they bid $100,000. Now remember, I said oftentimes when we're buying materials or commodities, we're looking for the lowest price. So in this scenario, without the seed program or the benefits of the seed program, that contract would be awarded to Office Depot because they came in at the lower price. However, with the benefits of the seed program, what we do is we take 5% of that non-seed bidder's bid, in this case, which would be $5,000 as you see on the slide, and we subtract that from the seed qualified bidder's bid. So now for evaluation purposes, to determine who wins this contract, we've given that 5% advantage to the seed bidder, and they are now evaluated at $97,000 and they win the contract. So as you can imagine, this, there are limits to the program, but this can make a huge difference, especially when you get into some pretty big numbers on projects or products that we're purchasing. And we'll go to the next slide. Another advantage, in addition to the price advantage, is what we call sheltered market. A sheltered market solicitation is one that's only available to our seed qualified vendors to bid on. Our buyers at SMUD have the option of making their purchases what we call sheltered market when it's a purchase that's less than $82,000, and when we have 3 viable seed vendors, seed qualified vendors, to bid on the contract. At SMUD, we really like this option. And that's because we can make sure when we put something out as a sheltered market solicitation, we know that that money is going to get awarded to one of our local small businesses. I really want to note here also that this is why it's really important that we talk to you guys and we ask you to work with us to become a seed vendor. Because as you can imagine, under these requirements, if we don't have 3 or more vendors that can bid on these contracts, then that lessens our opportunity to do a sheltered market contract and make sure that it goes to our local vendors. So please, if you have something, a product, a service that you think we might purchase, please talk to us and get with us about becoming a seed qualified vendor. Next slide, please. So we talked a lot about seed. We talked about how to qualify and what the benefits are, but you're probably wondering, okay, what if I'm not a small business? What if I can't get certified? Or what if you're not located in our service territory? So you don't meet those requirements. Well, you might still be able to receive incentives of the program. And that's because all vendors have opportunity to participate through subcontracting. Any vendor, large, small, in our territory, outside, can subcontract a minimum of 20% of their bid to a seed qualified vendor and receive those exact same incentives. So let's say I'm a general contractor and I don't qualify. Maybe I'm located outside of the SMUD territory. I can subcontract to seed vendors, let's say roofers or plumbers. And if I make sure that 20% or more of the bid that I submit is going to those seed vendors or seed contractors, then I can get the price advantages that we just talked about, that 5% price advantage or the 10 points towards my proposal. One thing to note here, and it's super important, that when we do have these situations where we have a prime who's subcontracting to our seed vendors, we do submit those contracts to audit. And that's just to make sure that the program is working appropriately and any contract awards that were promised to our local seed vendors are actually coming to fruition. And the next slide. So before I start wrapping things up and kind of giving you some resources, I want to give you a quick, very high level overview of how to register with us at SMUD to become a potential vendor. You know, Ivor talked a lot about the services that they offer in terms of searching for solicitation opportunities, contract opportunities, and helping you get registered with the state. SMUD is different because remember, we're community owned. We're not part of the state. We're not necessarily part of the county or the city. So we have our own independent means of communicating our solicitations and working with our vendors. And so first thing I want to say is that you do not need to qualify for the seed program. As I mentioned, to bid on our contracts, all suppliers can bid. So even though we have the 20% goal to work with small businesses, I want to encourage all vendors to register with us. And on the next slide, we can take a look at this. Right now, SMUD is transitioning to a position where we're going to be working with a third-party company. That company is called Ariba. Ariba.com is where you would find that. And that's where all of our solicitations are currently being published. And this is where you want to register your company. And that's so that you can see what it is that we're going to be purchasing. You can see due dates. This is where you download all the documents and really interact with submitting bids for SMUD. And what you can do is you can see here, there's a way that you can go, and I think Heidi just posted it in the chat for me, where you can go to view the open solicitations that we have. And then what you're going to do is you're going to click on one of those. And once you click on that, you'll open up the solicitation portal. And if you go to the next slide, we'll see what that looks like. Once you have that solicitation open in the portal, what you'll do is you're going to click on respond to posting. As soon as you click on that, you're going to see a login box that's going to pop up. Now, if you're already registered in Ariba, that's excellent. You can go ahead and take a look at the solicitation and start interacting with us. If you're not, then what you're going to do is in that box, you'll see where it says register now, and you want to click there, and that's where you'll create your profile. And you also, when you're doing that, you're going to have some important opportunities while you create your profile to make sure that you provide us with a list of the products and services that you provide. This is super important because when we put something out to bid, we want to make sure we're notifying you based on that list of products or services that you offer. Another important thing to note here is when you create your profile in Ariba, you want to make sure that you check your notifications. You'll be able to say what you want to be notified of. So be sure that you indicate that you want to be notified of new solicitations. And for more detailed instructions, you can visit our seed page at smud.org/seed, and we'll have that information available as well. On the next page, and this is only for seed qualified vendors, I have a list of instructions here. They look very detailed. It's really not that hard. It will only take 5 or 10 minutes to create a quick profile, but this is really in our proprietary system where we are able to verify you and qualify you as a seed vendor. And so if you want to receive the benefits of the small business program, incentive program, then you'll need to do the secondary registration. And again, in this system, it's really important to follow the steps to make sure that you indicate what products and services you offer. And you can feel free to reach out to me or any one of us at any time, and we can provide you a copy of these instructions as well. On the next slide, I'm going to move away from the registration and kind of address one of the biggest questions that we hear, which is, what does SMUD buy? All I can say is that we buy everything and anything that we might need to keep our businesses running, all our different buildings, all of our different power plants. Of course, we buy poles and wires and all of the things that you might think we buy. But as you can see here on the slide, which is a list of our currently open contract opportunities, we buy everything from construction, title and escrow services, trucks, of course, that we need, and even small appliances. So I really, really encourage you, if you have anything that you think we might remotely use, or you have any question about whether it's something we might buy, reach out to us at any time. And again, if any one of you are here today and you offer these services or products that we're looking for, please register today and let's talk about getting you in there so you can submit a bid right away. On the next slide, here I'm just providing you guys with some contact information. You know, one of the things in my past life, I have been part of small businesses trying to win contracts with local government or local agencies, just like you guys. And one of the hardest things is figuring out who do I talk to. Here, you're going to see information and contact information for buyers in each of our categories. We have information technology and professional services buyers here. And then on the next page, we have contact information for our construction and materials buyers as well. SMUD is an open book. We're here for our local small businesses, and we want to make it easy for you to do business with us. So please don't hesitate to reach out to our buyers if you have questions. And on the next page, you'll see that I have information for our seed team. And this is to provide you with contacts for you specifically, our local businesses, to reach out to us. We'll help you with any registration questions, getting qualified for the seed program, or connecting you with other vendors. I know a lot of times, as I mentioned, we have large contractors or large businesses looking to connect with smaller seed businesses. So that's really what our team does. And you have all of our contact information here. And before I go and wrap this up, I want to let you guys know that I will also, and our team will also be participating in another procurement workshop along with some of the other local agencies in the area. That will be happening tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. And I'll share a link to that free program, that free event in the chat here as well. So thank you so much for taking the time to learn more about how to do business with SMUD. We wish you guys all the best for you and your business, and all the best of luck.
Thank you so much, Jeannie. That was a great amount of information, and I believe we will be sharing that presentation with those that are in attendance. So if you have any questions or would like to review any of the information that Jeannie spoke about just now, it will be in your inbox soon. So thank you very much, Jeannie, and thank you again to SMUD for being our sponsor for the week. Lovely. So I would like to introduce to you Ms. Renee Ellis, and she is with Marshall Retail Group. And I will let her tell you a little bit more about herself and how you'll start to see the pattern and who the players are on the panelist side. So you've seen that we've had our Ivor, who is on the ground working with small businesses to work on contracts. And then there's Jeannie with SMUD talking about opportunities. And that's on the local level, but there's also opportunities on the private level too. And so I will hand it over to Renee to talk to you a little bit more about that. Thank you so much, Renee, for being with us.
Hi, I know it's late in the afternoon, so I'm going to try to make this as painless as possible. So my name is Renee Ellis, and I work for the Marshall Retail Group, and I buy local sundries. And Arnita, Ernita, you're going to pop up so they can see you. There's Ernita. She's the other half of the local sundries buying team. So they asked me to come on and speak to you guys about how to get into airport retail or other types of retail. And what I will tell you is it's a lot easier than you think, but it can be different with each company and with each buyer. Ernita and I buy local sundries, so we are a little faster, I would say, than probably a lot of other buyers in terms of selecting products and putting them into our stores. And that's simply because we deal with local sundries. Food is a growing, fast-paced business, so you have to be on top of what the trends are, what's out there, what customers are looking for. John Jew, who's coming behind me, hi John, from Truthful Kernel is amazing. His product he brought to us and was really ready for retail. And it was a very easy decision for us to bring his product into our stores. One of the things I will tell you is for the Marshall Retail Group, we literally run everything, I would say, from suits to nuts instead of soup to nuts, but suits to nuts, because we actually carry fashion, we carry giftware, we do shoes, we do a lot of different products. And so with that being said, there are a lot of opportunities for local businesses, especially in the Sacramento area. We operate one store in Sacramento Airport right now, currently called The Well. We also operate 5 stores right now in San Francisco Airport, with 3 more opening by the end of this year and 1 more opening in LAX Airport. And so because we like to deal with local on my end, we like to buy for these locations and to give our customers a better sense of place of where they're going to when they're coming into California. And so that's one of the amazing things about John's product. Not only did it fit the need of a customer looking for a healthier snack option, but it also fit the need that we were looking for of a local business, and an amazing local business. So I would actually say to all of you out there, if you have a business that you think is ready for retail, or if you have some questions on how you can get better ready for retail, please feel free to reach out to me. I do understand they will provide my email to you all. I did not create any slides. I apologize. I feel kind of bad now because after I watched everybody else, I'm like, maybe I should have had some slides. But in either case, they'll provide my email to you, and please reach out to me. We'll be happy. If it's not a product line that I currently work with, I will be happy to put you in contact with the buyer within our organization that does. What I will tell you guys is California, really, you guys as a state have some of the most amazing products I have seen on the market. You're first to market, you're first out there with trends. And we are just, as a Marshall Retail Group, feel blessed to bring those products and to highlight those products for travelers coming through our airport stores. I should tell you, we also operate and we are headquartered in Las Vegas, Nevada. So we're speaking to you from Las Vegas. So if your product does prove to be something that we can just feel like we can put across the board within our organization, we'll be happy to look at you for other outside markets that are also in New York, Texas, Washington State, Pennsylvania, Florida. I mean, I could go on for days on the different locations, and obviously Las Vegas. We do run operations in almost every single casino on the Strip, and we run retail operations from clothing stores to sundry stores to gift stores. So if any of you out there, again, have a product that we find that can work for us, not just in California, but we really feel will be a great opportunity for other locations, we'll be happy to do that for you. One thing I will tell you is, if you're going into retail stores, a few things just to kind of look at is your packaging. Make sure your packaging is ready for retail. And when I say that, if it's a food product, make sure it can't be easily opened. That is a big, big no-no in the field. And in food products also, does it have a UPC? That is something that we need, obviously, to scan the product in the stores. Is this product, and what is the cost that it's costing you to create this, whatever your product may be? I will tell you, in airports, we work at a minimum of a 60% markup. So be honest when you're looking and speaking to different suppliers and vendors on what your costs truly are, what your costs are going to be going down the line in the next 12 months. and be realistic about what you can offer your product at for retail sale. There's nothing worse than, for me especially, is when we've had vendors that I kind of got the feeling after speaking to them that they were undercutting their costs just to get their product into our store. That is something you should really be leery of and be careful of. You want to make sure that your product, whatever you're creating, is amazing, and know that about what you're doing. You've gone out there, you've created this business, and I say kudos to you. So have faith that your product is amazing. Have faith in what the cost of your product is, and kind of hold the line on that a little bit, and make sure you're not undervaluing your product, because there are a lot of larger companies that will tend to really cut costs. Also, we all know what's going on coming out of post-pandemic. Cost of goods is just skyrocketing. And let's just be realistic about it. We are expecting anywhere from 8 to 12% cost increase across the line in local sundries. And then in our other businesses, in gift, in logo, in travel gift, they're looking at anywhere from 15 to 20% cost increase. So really be cognizant of that when you're looking at your lines and you're going out there. Is this cost you're giving to this business something you can hold for at least 12 months? That will be about on average of what they're going to ask you for cost-wise. Ernita, did I miss anything? Anything you can think of? Oh, good. So does anybody have any questions for me, comments, things you want to fling? No? Really? Nothing. Okay, I don't know if that means you're exhausted, you've been PowerPointed to death, or I'm just the last moment of your day. Either way, if you have any questions, they will provide my email address to you. Please feel free to reach out to me. I will be happy to help you in any way possible to really get you out there and get your brand noticed. Again, the Marshall Retail Group, we do pride ourselves in really being a part of every community that we go into. We want to make sure that we're highlighting, focusing on those brands. And as I like to tell the story and joke, it is a circle of life. So anytime we go into these communities, we lift up these small businesses and bring them in. That creates more jobs in the community. That creates more opportunities. I tell everybody all the time, Milton Hershey did not start out with a $5 billion a year company. He started in Hershey, Pennsylvania, which is now named after him. So just remember that. Please, please, please know that your product is amazing and just keep at it. And I think I'm done. Anybody? No questions? Nothing? I'm shocked, Sophia. Nobody has a question.
Well, your contact info is in the chat, and so I'm sure you'll get maybe one or two later on. But let's see, I do see a hand raised. Oh, you know what, John? Why don't you go ahead and come on stage? It looks like your hand is raised. I don't know if you have a question or, but feel free to come on stage. That's a great segue.
Yeah, John, come on down. My new favorite vendor.
Right. Okay. Yeah, hi, Renee. Hi, Renee.
John.
I just wanted to throw out, since nobody asked a question, my question to you is, why are you guys so easy to work with? Well, that's what amazed me is a big company like yours, little company like mine. You were just a pleasure to work with. You're just so personal and upfront about exactly what you need and what we need, et cetera, et cetera. Why is that?
Okay, so John, I have to be honest because I can speak for myself and I think for Anita, I love what I do. One of my favorite things is when I find a new vendor, my boss, she was on here, would tell you, I don't know how many times I've been running and screaming in her office, oh my God, look what I found. It's fabulous. I'm gonna be putting it everywhere. Like I really, really enjoy what I do. So I think that makes a difference. The other part is we really do spend a lot of time researching within our category. So a lot of times when I am approached by smaller vendors or new vendors, I know that your product like yours is amazing and it's what my customers are looking for. And you made it easy for me. You came correct, John, so love that. And of course, you're super awesome and amazing. So again, it was very easy to do. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, there are some other companies, yeah, their buyers are going to be hard and they're not gonna be pleasant. I'd like to lie to you and tell you they're all as fabulous as we are, but they're not. But what I will tell you is please persevere. Please keep believing in what you're doing and it'll all work out.
Thank you.
You will run into somebody like me.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh. We did have one question come in, and for you, Renee. How can hair and skincare products play a role with partnering with Marshall Retail as a small Black-owned manufacturing brand?
Well, first, you're minority-owned business, so fabulous. Number two, we have another buyer that buys those products. Her name is Melanie Bacoma. So if you send me your information, I will put you in touch with Miss Melanie. She buys for gift and for grooming and skin and hair care products. And what I will tell you too, total side point, if you are looking at going into airport retail, being ACDBE qualified is a big plus. All of us retailers in airports are required to have a certain amount of our businesses that are ACDBE qualified. And that's set up by the Department of Transportation. So yes, definitely send me your info. We will put you in touch with Melanie.
Wonderful, thank you. Making connections, that's the goal here. So I don't see any other questions or comments that are coming through the chat. So again, thank you so much, Renee and your team, for being here with us to provide some awesome information. There is, Renee's email address and contact information is there in the chat. It was also on the brochure that went out to attendees. So if you can't find her contact information anywhere, just let us know and we'll make sure to get it over to you. Thank you so much, Renee. Okay, so to close out our procurement panel, I would like to introduce you to John Ju. So John Ju has been a longtime client of ours at California Capital, and we have had the privilege of working with John in several capacities. We've had the privilege of watching his business grow and venture out into different areas such as airports, and we're really excited to see the growth and to see the changes that John has gone through. And so we've invited John here to talk to you a little bit about his experience, because we realize that we can talk to you all day long as service providers and as technical assistance providers about what you need to do and what services are out there, but we realize also that there is value of hearing it from a fellow business owner. And so thank you, John, very, very much. He is the co-founder of Truthful Kernel, and I love his title so much. He is the Chief Popcorn Popper, the CPP of the organization or of the company. So thank you so much, John, for being with us, and I will hand it over to you.
Thank you, Sophia. Thank you. Yes, at my ripe age, I was, I'm going to tell a little story here. I was cursed, actually only kidding, with a vision that I wanted to help the world be a better place. And I'm speaking to the entrepreneurial people the entrepreneurs out there and the small business owners who have a vision. As an entrepreneur at heart, this vision started to materialize and took on a life of its own. It is my driving force. And with that driving force, I found out that I could not do this alone. And I needed support, I needed help, I needed whatever learning I could get from whatever direction I could get. And I was fortunate enough to come across California Capital and all the things that they offered, the counseling, the one-on-one counseling, the training seminars, just the tremendous support I received from them. I've received a lot of support from a lot of agencies, and as an entrepreneur, you know, I had so much to learn about and I still have a lot more to learn about what I'm doing here, and I could not do it without the help of the collaboration and the connections with these agencies. Another one was the Northern California Small Business Development Center. And what they did was they helped me design, they chose me as a small business owner to help my business with a cohort pitch deck. And I had no idea what any of those three words meant, but here it is. I'm gonna present the Truthful Kernel and what it took for all the people who helped me get to this presentation. It's still, I can still, you know, hone it and make it applicable for different presentations and different audiences. But I'd like to go through this. It's only about a 5 to 8 minute presentation. And this is really something that help me with my collaboration and help me with, I could present this to Marshall Retail Group, and that would be a very helpful thing, but it wasn't necessary at the time. They just really understood our product. So I'd like to say the Truthful Kernel is possibly the world's most perfect snack food. I'd like to give a little presentation on what we're about and what kind of help I received for this, and getting my word out, getting our word out as an entrepreneur in a small business. Next slide, please. My vision within this company is to be the premier popcorn brand that we want to offer and inspire healthy eating. We want to transform the lives of everyone through their core values, and that is who they are, and that goes right down to what they're eating. Next, please. Our mission is to be known as a product that uses fresh, local, and nutritious ingredients. We want to engage our communities to be healthier. We want to engage our customers to be healthier. That is my real vision here, and my passion is to see what the Truthful Kernel did for me as far as just learning about where we get our supplies, where we get our ingredients, where we get our products to make our popcorn. I learned an awful lot, and that was really to be as healthy as I possibly could. And today, in today's world, that is really what it's all about. Next, please. Our problem is society wants ready-made snacks. Those snacks are highly processed, they're high in refined sugars, and basically they're unhealthy overall. And you can see that in COVID has really brought that out. It's really accentuated our health problems. And that has to be, people have to be re-educated. They have to understand what they're eating and know that what they eat is who they are. Next, please. Most ready-to-eat popcorn can be healthy, lacks flavor, or it can be really tasty, but it lacks in nutrition. Next. The Truthful Kernel products are different. We have 3 core ingredients. We go to the 3 core ingredients, and this is my procurement part of this. Is our organic popcorn comes from a family-owned farm, Pleasant Valley Farms, in 23 miles north of Sacramento, and they are just a high-quality family that runs probably the largest commercial popcorn farm in all of California. It could be in the United States. I don't know that for a fact, but their organic popcorn is just made with love and care. And they also have other products, other things like beans and different types of vegetables, all organic. And their whole purpose is to provide a healthy product. The pure grapeseed oil that we get, and this is really differentiates us from any other popcorn manufacturer out there, popcorn ready to eat. And that is from Salute Sante in Napa, fresh, it's local. The nice thing about it is it's a sustainable product. It's upcycled from grapes that are been crushed for wine. And what they do is they found a way to, through a special refining, very lightly refined, but a very special way of making pure grapeseed oil. And that's another one of our things that the Truthful Kernel would like to do. We would like to really get the pure grapeseed oil story out there, because it is the most nutritious grape oil, and it's got a high smoke point. Our ancient sea salt comes from each one of these, where we get our supplies, each has a very nice story in itself. Our real salt comes from, that company comes from Utah. Next, please. Our current flavors, we have Simply Salt. These are all made with our core ingredients. Simply Salt, brown butter, which comes from Strauss Family Creamery. We have, it's been a real quest for me to find the best possible ingredients, the healthiest ingredients, the most nutritious ingredients to make our popcorn. And our brown butter comes from Strauss Family Creamery in Petaluma. And their story is incredible too. It's a family-owned farm, a family-owned dairy there. And what we do is we take it another step further. We brown the butter, which brings out even more flavor and tremendous. It's our most popular flavor right there. Organic cheddar, it's organic. It's for cheese lovers. We also want to come up with, we have sold this, but we haven't got, it's not on the market yet right now again. salted honey, which is our equivalent of a healthy kettle corn. Cayenne pepper and organic nutritional yeast is some more flavors that are all based on eating healthy. I'm reinventing popcorn to the point where popcorn is extremely nutritious. It's got tremendous fiber. It has antioxidants in it, polyphenols. It's if it was ever taken apart, and it has been by a study, it's 100% whole grain that is extremely healthy. Next. Our target demographic is basically anyone who loves popcorn, but I really want to get it down to people who really want to eat healthy, people who really are on the go and need a really healthy snack, a go-to snack that is going to really increase their healthy self. Next. Our movement, we have progressed very nicely, and once again, I owe it to the different agencies I've been with because of the tremendous support. This journey has been pretty difficult and sometimes gets pretty lonely at times, giving my vision out there and my purpose for what I'm doing, because there's a lot of ears and mouths that don't really want to hear the healthy story of a snack food. And I've gotten a lot of support from the people that I've worked with here. I want to just go over that real quickly. We're in January, we're hiring 2 more employees. We have in May, we're going to be buying this month, we're buying another popcorn machine. We're going to double our production. Our production, because of the airport, we're in next slide, and I'll share where we are in that regard. We're all about the customer. We're all about what they're all about. And we want to say, love what you eat as long as it loves you back. That's our message to our customers. If they want to be healthy, we want to go with quality, trust, education, and health. The education part is a real challenge for us. We want to engage with people who are very much into good health and learning about how they can learn about their self-care and so they can in turn help others. Next. Our distribution channels are listed right there. What we do is we do have the Marshall Retail Group has been so significant in, I think, getting our word across to travelers worldwide or nationwide, or wherever they go. I think we have a tremendous opportunity there to really get our product out there. They just go to our website and say, I want more of this popcorn. And I thank Marshall Retail Group and California Capital for really putting us together and getting us to a point where, we are going to be growing by leaps and bounds. We have future channels. An online subscription service is another thing that we would like. We're expanding into stores. We're doing 2 more stores tomorrow in the Napa area. We're just going like crazy, and it's just very interesting to see how we do move forward with this, because growth can present a lot of situations where we've got to grow into where we're going. Next. Our market, we are very much poised to really get out there as far as our products go. Our popcorn. We have a popcorn that is going to hit the health trend in a big way, and we have opportunities here that are pretty incredible. The microwave popcorn, another one, education. That product, unfortunately, is not made with the healthiest ingredients, and it is declining. So there is a trend there. Next, please. Our competition, you're probably familiar with some of these popcorns: Smart Food, Skinny Pop, Angie's Boom Chicken Pop. Skinny Pop, it's an interesting story there. Hershey Company, just because of the name and the branding they've done, it seems like a healthy popcorn. We're different. We're healthy, and Skinny Pop is got some good ingredients, but they're once again, as an entrepreneur with a small business, I got to keep differentiating who we are And we are definitely different than some of our competition. Next, please. Competitive advantage. Once again, I just want to differentiate ourselves as an entrepreneur, as a small business, that we are different, and to really exercise and to really emphasize that is something that we do have is a very much of a competitive advantage. And I throw that out to all entrepreneurs because we're all different and we all have different ways of presenting our products, and to really differentiate can equal tremendous success. And I just want to summarize again, this is our differentiator as far as the popcorn. Loving what you eat as long as it loves you back. Make sure that that happens to you. You know, that's the concept. Next, please. We do have a team, and again, it's founded on support. And I know that I'm going to need a lot more people in this business to do what we're doing. I will continue to have the support of my California Capital and support of, you know, Marshall Retail Group and just the support of I looked at what Ivor had to offer and what Jeannie had to offer as far as SMUD goes. There's so many opportunities to gain support. This is our team right here. If we can move forward. Financial projections, I'll skip over that. These are numbers that are almost getting blown out of the water, and you know, I don't know where they're going to go yet. So I'm going to have to readjust as we go on here, but we're moving pretty good. And the purpose for this pitch deck was to ask for some money. So anybody who wants to join, if they want to put in $50,000, we can, you know, and be a part of this. I can give a tremendous return on investment. I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing this one out there. It's really not something that I'm formally, you know, asking here. And my final slide is, please join our movement. We have happy snacking, healthy snacking, and it's something that I think that we can all really embrace. And healthy. Thank you very much.
Okay, John, if you don't mind me saying really quickly, his popcorn is fabulous. I've personally tasted it. Amazing. And you didn't tell me about the 3 new brands, so we'll discuss that later, John.
Okay, Renee, sounds good. Appreciate you. So that's what we are about, and I really appreciate all the support out there from not only our customers, but also from you know, the people I've been talking about. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John. It looks like we have a hand raised. And so I am going to click on this hand raised. Mac Thomas, feel free to unmute yourself if you'd like to ask a question.
Hey, Mac.
And Carol, I've added his website link to the chat for you. Okay, well, Mac, why don't you type your question in the chat if you wouldn't mind, and we can make sure that gets over to John. So thank you so much, John. I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. Thank you so much, and good luck on all of your future endeavors, and we look forward to continue working with you.
Thank you, Sophia. So much.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Okay, so that concludes the procurement panel, and I would like to move on to our final couple of speakers for our small business resource panel. Now, as business owners, we realize marketing is crucial. How to, where to, when to are all valuable and reasonable questions that everyone asks. And so today we have Lauren Tabor here from California Capital. She leads our communication team at California Capital, and we'll be talking to you today about social media marketing tips. And so thank you so much, Lauren, for being with us, and I will pass it on to you.
All right, thank you, Sophia. So yeah, as Sophia said, I am our communications coordinator here at California Capital, and I'm going to be sharing a little bit about how we can work with social media and leverage different platforms to build on your business momentum or get back in touch with your customers if you have pivoted your business or adapted in any way during the pandemic, and really just go over how you can use social media as a tool to gain more advocates for your brand. So next slide, please. So I'm going to go over just the top 3 social media platforms that are used for marketing. There are other platforms, but these are really the ones that have captured the most, the most of, I guess I'll say, market share for marketing. So the top one is Facebook, and so some quick demographics on Facebook. 43% of users are between the ages of 25 to 44, and it skews more towards women, towards female users. So definitely kind of Gen X, young Gen X, and older millennials will be your audience there. You could set up a business page through which you can interact with other businesses or other like official profiles, and also track the amount of users that will see and interact with your post. So that's a good way to keep track of who is seeing what you post. And Facebook also has a marketplace on which you can sell products directly through Facebook, and also it can link to your website as well. So if you have an e-commerce platform, for example, the Truthful Kernel sells their popcorn online. So that could be an example of a type of business that would want to use Facebook Marketplace and use Facebook to link back to their website. Instagram is also a huge one. Over 2/3, so about 67% of adults in the US are on Instagram. That's of the total population of adults. And worldwide, about 200 million Instagram users visit a business page every day. So there is a lot of traffic within the business sphere of Instagram. It is a visual medium, so pictures and videos that are aesthetically appealing really are important on this platform. So you're not going to necessarily rely too much on text and words. You're really going to want to show rather than tell. And you can do this to show your brand values and tell your story. And you can also set up business pages on Instagram, and they will provide you with data to track the engagement of your posts and track your growth as well. Twitter is also great for marketing. It's more geared towards news and written content. So you can share brief messages, and also it's a large focus of the way posts are shared on Twitter is reposting others' content. So that's a good way to keep in touch with your followers and let them know updates about your brand. It's not so much focused on photos and videos. That is still an option on Twitter, but your followers on Twitter might not be looking for the visual content quite as much. Next slide, please. So let's talk a little bit about sharing your content. A really number one tip that you should want to take home is planning it out. So having a general idea of when you're going to post about certain topics will really help you create a strategy and feel in control of your social media. So for example, if you're maybe going to launch a new delivery service for a restaurant, you can start drumming up excitement a few weeks before, maybe even up to a month before, and consistently generate that excitement leading up to it. So by reminding your followers that this is going to be happening soon, and kind of get the word in there. And then kind of a rule of thumb, especially with social media, is if you say something 10 times, people will hear it once. So don't be afraid to reiterate certain messages and plan out when you'll do so. Some good scheduling tools, some software that you can use online. There are websites called Later, Constant Contact, and Sprout Social, and Hootsuite, which I don't have listed here, but those are also great, where you can automate posts and schedule them to go up, so you don't have to worry about posting every single day. You could just schedule them out a couple weeks in advance, and they'll automatically post. And I'll share all these links in the chat afterwards, so don't worry. And another one I have listed here is Canva, through which you can schedule posts, and you can also create graphics. So if you want to create a flyer or, something that you want to add on to some text onto a photo to say like when your opening hours might be or something like that, you can use this website Canva and create new graphics. And I will also share more information about that in the chat. And cater your content to the platform. So as I mentioned before, the different platforms have different things that the users want to see and that your followers will expect. Instagram, as I mentioned, is better for strong visuals, so high quality photos and videos or graphics that you can create with Canva or other tools. So you're gonna want to show rather than tell your brand identity, and try to keep captions to the point. So it's not necessarily a place to share too much of, as I said, written content, but really details and keeping things succinct. Facebook can handle more written content if you want to share longer posts that maybe tell more of a story, or if you want to share a longer update, you could do so on Facebook. And it's also a great place to share links to your website. So if you want to drive traffic back to your website, you can share from your blog or your store. And Facebook also is optimized for photos, and videos especially are great content for Facebook. And Twitter is they're really going to want you to be short and snappy. There's even a character limit for how long your post can be. So you're going to have to, sometimes I have trouble being succinct. So when I write, so if you're like me, you're going to have to learn that new skill, which is a good thing. And you can also share links there. So again, if you're trying to get folks to look at your website, Twitter is a great way to get them back there. And as I mentioned, sharing photos and videos is possible, but it's not a must on this platform. And also choosing the right frequency for the platform is important, because you want to consistently post so that new people can find your page and they feel like you're really there with them. But you also don't want to spam them. So a good rule of thumb for Instagram and Facebook is to post once a day or around 5 to 6 times a week, and avoiding multiple posts per day if you can, which again, scheduling ahead of time makes that really possible. On Twitter, you can post up to 4 or 5 tweets a day. I mean, you could, post more, but 4 or 5 tweets a day is really kind of the sweet spot for Twitter. And those can be more spontaneous. So you might want to post out what you're going to talk about, but the messages can be a little more spontaneous. Next slide, please. So the last thing I'll talk about as I'm wrapping up is interaction with your followers, because if you want to build a strong base of consistent customers or brand advocates, really interacting is going to help you get there. So one thing that I think is a very powerful tool is what I call aspirational interaction. So commenting on and liking and sharing the posts of brands or individuals, maybe celebrities or even politicians or people who just have large social media followings called influencers. You can share and comment on their posts. And this will put your page on the radar of their followers. So if you're offering a similar service, or if you have a similar tone, you'll want them to see. And so this is a great way to regain momentum. So if you have had to pause your business or things have changed for you and you're really trying to maybe get back in the game and get people's attention again, this is a good way to put yourself out there. So my final tip is to let your followers know that you're listening. So especially if you're growing or reimagining or pivoting your business, interacting with the people who follow you via comments and messages is huge. So if someone comments on your post, you can like their comment or you can respond to them. And if they reach out via message to ask you a question, it's super important that you respond to it. You can, social media is a customer service tool as much as it is a marketing tool as well. So responding to messages is important. And you can also ask your followers questions on your posts and ask them to comment, or there are tools on social media for creating polls or question and answers where you can kind of solicit feedback in real time. And those always get great reactions from folks because they really want to know that the people that they're, giving their money to are on their side. So there's a great way to, there are multiple ways to do that. So that is what I have to share, and I will share more resources and some of the links to the software and tools that I mentioned in the chat, and they'll also be sent out along with these slides after the session. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Always very helpful with her social media tips. I know that we at California Capital are benefiting tremendously from all of her expertise. So thank you again, Lauren, for being with us. Okay, so I realize it's been a very, very long day, and thank you to everyone that has stuck around for the duration of the presentation. We do have one final speaker. Last but certainly not least, we have Ms. Rachel Brown, and she is the Economic Development Manager for the City of Elk Grove for the Office of Economic Development. And she's here to talk to you about the resources that are available in Elk Grove. As I mentioned yesterday, if you weren't here on the call, we specifically identified Capital Region Small Business Week as Capital Region Small Business Week because we want to make sure that our resources and the folks that we are serving know that we are here just beyond the Sacramento region. We're serving the counties surrounding, and most of us have statewide reach with many of the services that we provide. And so again, thank you so much, Rachel, for being here, and I will pass it over to Rachel so she can talk to you a little bit more about her services and resources. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you, Sophia. And there's a big group of us that kind of huddle up every year to think about how do we encapsulate resources and put it out to small businesses. I know this last year has been especially challenging. And so I wanted to summarize, this is not a laundry list, but this is a good start, whether you live in Elk Grove or another city. I think you can take, I only have 7 slides, so this will be pretty short. But there's kind of things to consider. Before I worked at the city, I actually did permitting for commercial clients throughout California. So I can understand that for a small business, it's difficult to figure out, where do I start? Who do I talk to first? Who should I call? And so what I'm going to outline today is kind of this hierarchy where you start at the local level, you might work up to your county level, state level, and so on. So we'll start with the first slide, please. So like I said, there's city economic development departments. I belong to the economic development department at the city of Elk Grove. I know many of the Sacramento area cities have similar departments. So wherever you're doing your business, it's best to talk to that city and start there with any questions you might have. Most of that contact information is on websites. You can take a look at the ones I've listed here for Elk Grove just to get a sense for how to navigate, where to find contact information. But I happen to know many of my counterparts at other cities and counties in the area. All of us have teams that are the starting point for businesses. And it's not just for startups, right? If you're an existing business, you run into an issue. I don't know how many of you can appreciate that California has a lot of layers to government. And so Elk Grove, for example, is not a full service city, but Roseville is a full service city, just meaning all the questions and things you might need to operate your business may not be run by the city. So that's the only point I want to make there is while the city may not run all the departments, they certainly have access to and can refer you to another agency if it's a different agency. So Sacramento County, Elk Grove is in Sacramento County. So if you contacted your local city and for whatever reason you're not getting anywhere, maybe you go to the county. We have adjacent counties, Yolo and Placer, but Sacramento is the county in which Elk Grove is located. They have economic development department as well. And I did want to give a little shout out to Burke. They are a non-regulatory agency that can help you come in compliance. So let's say you're an existing business, you run into an issue with some other regulatory agency. What do? Well, if you're in Sacramento County, you can start by contacting Burke and they might help you navigate, whether it's the health department, air quality. Sometimes you didn't do that due diligence and discover when you started your business all the regulations, and now someone's coming after you for something and you don't know what to do. So Burke is another great free resource. They are not a regulator, but they can help you navigate some of those challenges that might come up after you're already up and running. Next slide, please. So state of California, I am including some COVID stuff. We're kind of in this hybrid mode right now where certainly businesses are not recovered from COVID, but some may not have been hit as hard as others. COVID19.ca.gov is a big hub of any state programs that might be coming out. It's where you can follow, as long as the blueprint isn't around, you can follow guidelines for your specific business type as to what you can do. It's based on county and the tier system currently. And then more broadly speaking, GoBiz, Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development, whoops, did a typo there, but they have a few things ongoing that are not COVID related necessarily. They have California Competes tax credit. There's a link there to find out more. And then they have an Office of the Small Business Advocate, which is focused on assistance to small businesses. So the state does have a few resources at that broad level as well. Next slide, please. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention SBA. I think through COVID, SBA has just been kind of slammed with all the efforts they're trying to do in the programming. But I have one slide here just covering broadly SBA at the federal level. These are some COVID programs at the top here. Some of you are probably already familiar with them. Not sure how long they will continue to be funded, but things to consider and be aware of. And then separate from COVID, SBA has a bunch of tools. They have free business counseling, they have business loans, they also have contracting. I know I was just on the procurement section earlier. There's a variety of ways you can contract with government entities and sell your products for them to use. And so government contracting is a big deal if you can find, if your product happens to be a good fit for that. Next slide, please. And then more locally, we have the Sacramento District Office. And so there's, I would recommend going to this website for events and webinars. Right now, everything is webinar based, but I would say there's a huge resource there. If you somehow aren't able to find a person and you're calling or emailing different, all these different folks that we've mentioned during the webinars over the last couple of days, go onto this website and look and see if there's a webinar recording of something that you're already trying to navigate. You might find there's a recording or something that's already available to you, can kind of watch after the fact. So that's the local Sacramento District Office. Next slide. And then we have our Capital Region Small Business Development Center. I think currently the Sacramento Metro Chamber is managing that, but they offer one-on-one advising free. I want to mention the free part. So let's say you want to grow your business, you're already underway, you opened your doors, but you're thinking, hey, I want to grow or expand, kind of like John was just talking about Truthful Kernel. If you're not sure how to increase your business plan and grow your business, you might consult with either Capital Region Small Business or SCORE, the next organization under there. They both provide free mentoring to help your business plan. It doesn't have to be for a new business. You can sometimes when you're trying to do the phase 2, you might need some advice on how to do that. Connect with funding. SBDC also can give you some guidance on where to find funding. A lot of times that next phase means more money. And if you don't have it in your pocket, which a lot of businesses don't have it readily available, you'll need an investor. And so there's ways to couch your expansion plan and get the funding that you need. Next slide. And of course, California Capital is one of the regional resource groups, and they've got a lot of advice that they can offer, and workshops and a lot of fun things. I've been working with Sophia the last several years, and like I say, there's a group of us in the region that huddle up and we try to figure out how to share information. So all of us economic developers have access to these contacts here. So if you don't get in touch with the right person the first time, we'll happily refer you to the right person to help you get the information you need. I know there was an earlier session on SMUD and doing business with them. SMUD has been a huge supporter of business in the region. They sponsor a number of events. They've got their seed program. They got a couple other items, but when we're doing in-person things, they're out at a bunch of events just trying to push their resources out to businesses. So there's another plug for them. I'm trying to remember if that's my last slide or if I had one more. I can't remember. Is that it? Okay, because I didn't have too many, but this is just okay. This is just a a sampling of different things and just ways you can tackle getting help you need. There is not necessarily one-stop shopping, but a lot of us refer to one another. We all know each other. It's a really big network. If you plug into any one of these organizations, we'll gladly refer you otherwise to the right place and make sure you get the help you need. We're all committed to seeing the Sacramento, greater Sacramento region recover from COVID. We're eager to help the businesses where we can and see what we can do to get back to normal. So thank you for the time, and thank you to everyone on the team that has helped coordinate the last 2 days. This isn't like our normal small business week, but we tried to put something together at least to shovel out the information. There's been a lot coming over this last year and probably still more to come, but stay tuned.
Agreed. Stay tuned. Thank you so much, Rachel. I really, really appreciate you being here with us. And yes, as she mentioned, we are Capital Region Small Business Week is put together by a committee of partners such as myself, resource partners, local agencies on the federal, state, and local level, because we really want to make sure that our reach is there and access to all of the small business resources that we've spoken to you today are being marketed and that you are aware of them. And so again, I just want to thank all of our speakers for being with us today and providing all of the expert information that you've provided today. I want to thank our sponsor. Thank you to SMUD for supporting us for the past 2 years with Capital Region Small Business Week. We are so thankful for your support. And more than anything, I want to give a huge shout out and a big thank you to all of the small businesses out there. Thank you for working as hard as you do. Thank you for knowing that you are resilient and that you are going to grow and you're going to be successful. And then thank you for motivating us to do the work that we do, because we see that what you're doing is inspiring. It's hard work, and we're here to serve. So with that, I would like to conclude day 2 and Capital Region Small Business Week 2021 and release you all to enjoy your evening. So thank you very, very much, and have a great rest of your week.